I'm sorry, but that's the most gangster opening song in the history of mankind. Again, shout out to Adfleet for coming up with that. Absolutely amazing, if I do say so myself. Absolutely phenomenal. I only listened to it about 35 times last night, if I do say so myself. But guys, welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. We've got a lot to cover today. We have a whole lot to cover today. We've got a story I've been trying to get to since the end of last week, but time keeps getting away from us. Not tonight, not tonight. We got a lot of examples. And I would suggest to you, I may not play the example tonight. I may let it simmer a couple of days, but I would suggest to you it's already having an effect. Even though we haven't even covered it yet, it was already having an effect. I'll explain why in just a minute. Of course, we're going to review the grandfather's pretty important statement that the 30-6 did not take down Charlie Kirk, period, end of story. Anyone with a half a brain understands that. Nobody should be buying that, least of all the guy who owned the gun. So we'll get to that as well. And then we got a couple of cleanup stories towards the end that we may or may not even get to. I don't know how long this is going to take us to get through this. I don't want to drag you on all night. The opening statement's a lot of fun, and I think it is probably going to get a lot more relevant here in the near future. I wanted to be out ahead of that a little bit, kind of like I was last night with Oklahoma City. I was trying to get just a little ahead of the news on that as well. So, one of the things we pride ourselves here is we're way ahead of stuff. We're way ahead. Oh. I got an update on what happened last night. Apparently, there was some sort of an attack. I don't want to say too much in it, but there was some sort of an attack that stopped the service from going out. So if you were here during the comments in the middle of the show, I started getting all glitchy and then everything kind of crashed. I had to reset everything. And even when I reset it, it was still a little glitchy and it took a little time to like a 5-minute gap or something in the middle of the show. And we finally got everything back up and running and we're able to finish the show. But I've been assured that won't happen again, that whatever that was, they've taken care of it. They'd never experienced it before. I don't know if it was related to this show. I'm not so vain and narcissistic to say this show had anything to do with that, but the timing certainly was suspicious. But we were in the middle of Q&A. So I don't know why anyone would try to attack during Q&A. So it may have nothing to do with us, but nevertheless, it did affect us. But we have resolved that, or at least the service that we use has resolved that. So hopefully that won't happen again. If you were here, that was weird. That was a very weird moment. I've never had anything like that happen live streaming. Don't forget to hit the like button. I know they said it in the opening song. I'm told I'm supposed to say it every time. It does help when I do remind you guys. It helps me, frankly. I'm in your boat. When I'm watching other shows, they're like, hit the like button. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm supposed to hit the like button. I always forget. But it is probably, like Lionel says, it's like paying a toll to the fast lane, but it doesn't cost you anything. So I appreciate if you guys do that on your way in. But the opening tonight, let me set the opening up a little bit. I'll set it up this way. In 2018, I'm going to refer to a guy named J.E. tonight. You guys know who I'm talking about. He had emails and files and planes and islands. You know who J.E. is. May or may not be Palm Beach Pete these days. But I'm going to talk about a story that sort of tangentially touches on him. I'm going to mention him in the opening statement, of course. I will call him J.E. throughout so as not to upset our YouTube overlords who are so gracious and kind to your humble host. Thank you, YouTube. You guys are amazing. Shout out to the YT crew. No offense to my grumblers over here. But YouTube does a wonderful service for this program, keeping it up and running and hearing appeals very quickly when we need to raise them. So I'm thankful that they do that. But I do know there are certain words that irritate the YT overlord. So I will try to avoid that by saying J.E. tonight instead of the J-man, instead of the E-man, instead of Einstein, J.E. But what I want to get out in front of is when he went down in 2018, 2019, it's my firm conviction that his operation did not simply vanish. It did not vanish overnight. And when it went underground, I don't think it went underground in a way that we expected it to. I think it went into 501c3 nonprofits and 501c4 nonprofits. That's where I think it went. So the question is, what was the operation? What operation was J.E. running? I'm going to talk about that tonight because I think we see the prelude to it in a story from the mid 1980s that he was sort of on the perimeter of. And so I do want to get out ahead of that because I think that's where this story is eventually going. So without further ado, what did I do with the opening? There it is. Without further ado, I will get to that story now. The opening is fun. It's a walk down memory lane for those of us old enough, and I am old enough. I do remember this sort of vaguely happening. I remember this being at the discussion at the dinner table. I remember it being on the TV news. I remember men in Marine uniforms testifying in front of Congress, raising the right hand, allegedly promising to tell the truth. But I've got a lot of background in this that helps illuminate some of the details that are often lost in this discussion. So let me get to that now. Because, ladies and gentlemen, this is your opening statement. The Iran-Contra affair. The Iran-Contra affair is one of the most complex and, frankly, damaging political scandals in modern U.S. history. Between 1985 and 1986, senior officials in the Ronald Reagan administration orchestrated a secret operation that sold U.S. arms to Iran in violation of an arms embargo and also in violation of an official policy against negotiating with terrorists. The stated goal of subverting the law was an effort to release American hostages. The hostages were held in Lebanon by Iranian-backed groups like Hezbollah. The scandal, though, was made even worse because the government then used the proceeds from those arms sales to support right-wing rebels in Nicaragua. They were fighting the Marxist Sandinista government. These Nicaraguan rebels were known as the Contras. Unfortunately for the Contras and for the Americans in government who were funding them, there were explicit congressional prohibitions on providing aid to them. When the illegal gun running and money funneling scheme unraveled in late 1986, it triggered congressional hearings, criminal investigations, and a significant blow to the public confidence in the presidency of Ronald Reagan. So let's go back and talk about Ronald Reagan. He took office in 1981. He was committed to rolling back Soviet influence, particularly here in the Western Hemisphere. In Nicaragua, the Sandinistas had seized power a couple of years before Reagan came to power. That was back in 1979. The CIA began supporting the Contras, whom Reagan praised as freedom fighters. Congress, though, fearing another Vietnam, passed a series of amendments called the Boland Amendments. In 1982, they passed a version that limited aid to the Contras. In 1984, they passed a stronger version that banned virtually all direct or indirect military assistance to the Contras. At the same time, the Iran-Iraq war was raging. 7 Americans were being held hostage in Lebanon. The administration publicly maintained a hard line against Iran and terrorism, but privately they were exploring openings to see if they could get the hostages released. National Security Council staffers, including Robert McFarlane and later John Poindexter, joined with a guy named Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North. Together, they saw opportunity. Iran needed U.S.-made weapons to fight Iraq, and moderates in Tehran might be able to influence hostage releases in Lebanon, of course, in exchange for the military aid. In 1985, Israeli officials and private arms dealers proposed using Israel as a conduit to sell American anti-tank and anti-aircraft missiles to Iran. The U.S. would then replenish Israel's stocks afterwards. The profits, of course, would help fund the Contras. Key intermediaries included an Iranian arms dealer, Monoucher Ghorbanifar, as well as Saudi billionaire Adnan Khashoggi. Adnan Khashoggi played a central role as a financial middleman and a bridge financier. Khashoggi already was one of the world's most prominent arms brokers. He had deep ties to Saudi royalty and Western defense contractors. Khashoggi helped devise the financial architecture of the deals. He met with McFarlane as early as 1983 to discuss U.S.-Iran relations. In Hamburg, Germany in 1985, Khashoggi and Ghorbanifar began outlining the plan with Israeli contacts. The first shipment occurred on August 20th, 1985. Israel delivered 96 missiles to Iran. Khashoggi provided the crucial bridge financing by advancing his own funds. Initially, that amount was around $1 million. Later deals were much, much larger sums. By doing so, the transaction could proceed before the Iranian payments arrived. Ghorbanifar acted as the Iranian broker. Khashoggi coordinated the cash flow by routing money through accounts in Switzerland and elsewhere. He loaned millions more in subsequent deals, including a notable $15 million loan in May of 1986. And he deposited the money into accounts controlled by Oliver North and his network. Subsequent shipments followed in September and November of 1985. Direct U.S. sales began in 1986. Iran, of course, paid inflated prices, often nearly double the cost of the actual missiles. So, after reimbursing the Pentagon their cost, covering the intermediaries' commissions, the surplus funds were diverted by Oliver North into secret accounts to buy weapons, aircraft, and supplies for the Contras in Nicaragua. Khashoggi's loans helped bridge timing gaps between Iranian payments and arms deliveries. This kept the operation going when delays threatened collapse. Khashoggi later claimed he actually made very little personal profit. He accused Oliver North of diverting funds meant for Iranian moderates to the Contras instead. He publicly sought to compel Oliver North's testimony on the matter. While never criminally charged in the United States for the Iran-Contra affair, Adnan Khashoggi's role as a key facilitator drew intense scrutiny during subsequent investigations. Oliver North, for his part, managed the operational side. This was the side involved creating a web of shell companies and offshore accounts. Private donors, including Saudi Arabia, supplemented the diverted Iranian funds. The operation also involved allegations of drug trafficking, of course, because why not? But there was also cooperation with figures like Manuel Noriega in Panama. The scandal broke wide open in October 1986. A Contra supply plane was shot down over Nicaragua. The survivor implicated the American CIA. On November 3rd, 1986, a Lebanese magazine revealed the U.S.-Iran arms deals. Attorney General Edwin Meese's inquiry confirmed the diversion on November 25th. Ronald Reagan admitted mistakes, but denied actual knowledge of the fund transfer. The Tower Commission criticized the National Security Council's overreach. Congress held dramatic hearings. Oliver North's defiant testimony captivated audiences. Independent counsel Lawrence Welsh pursued prosecutions for years. And eventually, North, Poindexter, and a few others were convicted on charges like obstruction and false statements. But even then, most of the convictions were overturned on appeal. And then George H.W. Bush, in 1992, later pardoned everyone. No high-level figure served significant prison time. Surprise, I bet you didn't expect that part. Adnan Khashoggi's participation exemplified the privatization of U.S. foreign policy. As a legendary fixer who brokered massive Saudi arms deals with companies like Lockheed, he leveraged his network of banks, front companies, and contacts to enable the Iran-Contra transactions. His bridge loans were essential because Iran refused to pay before getting the missiles. Later reports suggested Saudi money flowed through him as a surrogate for the royal family. And this is where it gets interesting and has more application today. A lesser known but intriguing thread links the era to today's scandals. Notably, this includes J.E. and his early business relationship with Adnan Khashoggi. After leaving Bear Stearns in 1981, J.E. founded a company called Intercontinental Assets Group. This was a firm focused on asset recovery for wealthy clients. Khashoggi became a client. He was introduced to J.E. through notorious British arms dealer Sir Douglas Leese. J.E. reportedly assisted Khashoggi with financial matters, allegedly including tracking and recovering assets. This overlap occurred at about the same time Khashoggi was running the Iran-Contra financing activities. Some accounts, including from J.E. associate Stephen Hoffenberg, suggested J.E. gained exposure to arms trafficking, money laundering, and covert deal-making through Khashoggi and Leese. Hoffenberg described J.E. as being trained in these shadowy financial practices. No official records or investigations have established that J.E. himself played any direct operational role in the Iran-Contra affair. Rather, his involvement appears limited to private financial involvement with Khashoggi. Nevertheless, the connection illustrates how elite networks of arms dealers, financiers, and intermediaries operated across intelligence-adjacent deals in the 1980s. J.E.'s later ties to figures like legendary Israeli operative Robert Maxwell fueled speculation about deeper links. It's noteworthy that J.E.'s introduction to Robert Maxwell is widely attributed to the same notorious British arms dealer, Sir Douglas Leese. The Iran-Contra affair, of course, damaged Ronald Reagan's presidency. He was able to recover because he was personally very popular. The Iran-Contra affair highlighted tensions between the executive secrecy and congressional oversight, the dangers of the unaccountable National Security Council operations, and the risks of relying on private middlemen like Khashoggi and Ghorbanifar. Culturally, though, it turned Oliver North into a hero for many conservatives. Whether Iran-Contra was successful in achieving its mission is debatable. Hostages were released, incrementally at least, but new ones were later taken. The Contras received funding that helped sustain their fight until the Sandinistas lost political power in the 1990 elections. Khashoggi's fortune later declined amid debts and scandals, but he remains in the minds of many a symbol of the extravagant, globe-spanning deal-making of the petrodollar era. J.E., for his part, went on to build his own notorious web of influence. Nobody's exactly sure how or why he was able to build such a web, but the influential web he built is an undeniable reality. Ultimately, Iran-Contra revealed how perceived national security imperatives can justify almost anything, including ignoring or outright breaking the law. The fact that almost nobody was held accountable to any real degree for breaking the law certainly didn't help deter future would-be traffickers. And that is your opening statement. I felt like if I said any more, I'd say too much. But I do want to add a little more color to this, because there's been a lot of discussion about the JE network, and a lot of the discussion has centered on women, and I think that's a limited hangout. I think the women were tangential to the operation. I think the real operation was exactly what was happening in Iran-Contra. It was exactly what was happening back then. It was arms trafficking. It had very little to do with women trafficking. That's why it's so difficult to nail down any sort of network. But the reality is the people who engage in arms trafficking are perverts. They're perverts. That's just the nature of the game. These are the type of people who get into this game. They're perverts. And whenever you have perverts and a lot of money, maybe they throw some women in on the side just to help sweeten the deal a little bit. And I think that's largely what was going on with the JE network. And that's where I want to stop, because I don't want to say any more. Because when the JE network fell in 2018 is when a lot of these nonprofits got very wealthy. Significant resources started flowing in. And you got to keep in mind who were the primary beneficiaries of the arms trafficking era. Who was the primary beneficiary of the Iran-Iraq war? And who is the primary financer of a lot of these nonprofits? I think there's a connection there, and we'll talk about it more as time goes on, but I don't want that to get lost in the day-to-day that we cover here. Man, I want to say so much more. I want to say so much more, but I'm not going to. Instead, I want to start where Candace is going today. This is a really interesting tip she got, a really interesting piece of audio. And I want to dive into it, and I want to add a little color that perhaps Candace may have held back on because she's good cop, and I might just give because I'm bad cop. But if you didn't see her show, or you're going to watch it later, she received a piece of audio that was recorded during a courtroom break in the Tyler Robinson hearing the other day. Tyler Robinson had family members present. We've heard from some of those family members before. Billy and Brandy went to one of the hearings early on. They talked to some of the family, and the family said, we think this was bigger than just Tyler Robinson. We think there was a much larger scheme at play. I don't want to be on record quoting them. The quotes speak for themselves, and you can go watch their stuff and figure out exactly what they said. But that's the impression I was left with, that they thought maybe Tyler had some tangential role in something, but they don't know what it was, and it certainly wasn't pulling a trigger on the Losi Center with a 30-06. Well, journalist Elizabeth Lane and others were present at the hearing this time, Friday. And while they were there, they had the opportunity to speak to the grandfather of Tyler Robinson. The grandfather is relevant to the story because the grandfather is the weapon. He's the guy that had the gun. That was his weapon. It was his 30-06 that got passed down to Tyler Robinson. Remember, the grandfather's gun was sort of an issue in the text messages, if you believe those. And so it was interesting to hear this clip of audio that I'm going to play in just a moment. It was very interesting to me to hear what the grandfather had to say about his gun. He's fired the gun. He owned the gun. It was his gun. So I want to play this clip, and then I want you sort of my thoughts on what actually might have transpired. But I want to let you hear the audio raw first. I'll let Candace set it up and then play the audio.
Works. And he explained to me that they were in the period where the state was supposed to go out and find the evidence. So they don't have any evidence yet. Remember, that's December 15th. I'm sitting down with them. No, we don't have any evidence more than the public.
Oh, hold on. I timestamped this before she clipped it. So let me go back and play the, I don't know how long she, oh, here it is. Yeah, she clipped quite a bit. Let me go back and let her set it up this way. Sorry.
Things the easy way. Like I said, the question here is, what does his grandfather think? Because he knows that gun. It's his gun, right? It's a family heirloom. It is his gun, or was his gun, before it was passed down to Tyler Robinson. So he knows that weapon better than anyone. Let's take a listen. And of course, I'm accounting for sound. We've tried to use AI, bring the voices up and get rid of the background sound. Here's what his grandfather had to say briefly at the hearing.
Someone had a stash of 80 minutes. Oh, they did? Like credit food or?
Just snacks.
Yeah. What are you guys for Tyler? What are you for Tyler or the other side?
Grandparents.
Oh, your grandparents? Oh,
I'm really sorry you're going through this.
yeah, it's tough for you guys.
Yeah, it sucks. Well, we're here to support.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we think your grandchild is absolutely brave, but I'm an investigative journalist, so.
Well, I do. I'm
Did
not
you?
reminded
Yeah.
what for the us that you do.
Man, you know, your guns, like I can tell you that you're very right. That's why, yeah,
And my dad was a cop for years.
Yeah.
And we showed him all of this.
yeah, of course, but.
So here's what I took from that. There's basically three main facts. One is they think he was framed. They agree with that. That was fact one. Fact two, he knows what a 30-06 will do. That to me is a fact that's getting lost in all this discussion. And then fact three was his father was a cop. I did not know that. I learned that when she played that audio today. Tyler Robinson's great-grandfather apparently was a cop and discussed ballistics with his son. Well, what good would that do? Look, if you're hunting, if you're a hunter, this has been one of the major issues. There's two bright major issues that keep coming up over and over and over again. One is anyone who's ever shot a 30-06 and seen the damage it does looks at the damage to Charlie Kirk and says that doesn't look like a 30-06. That's kind of issue one. That's the day of. The second major issue we won't talk about today, but I'll raise it. It's the thing I think that keeps the thing going, that keeps the investigation going. It's nobody's buying Erica Kirk's grieving. Nobody's buying that. I mean, the people who are hardest on her are widows, women who have lost their husbands, cut down in the prime of their life. We hear about them all the time. We hear about them all the time in the comments here. We hear from widows who say, hey, I lost my husband. He was 41 years old. I was unable to move for months at a time. Certainly wasn't out running a multi-$100 million operation and laughing on Zoom calls 5 days later. Like that doesn't happen. So those are sort of the two things that keep this investigation moving. And so when you have those two things, you start looking at everything. Nothing seems to make sense. We talked last week about how, or last night, about how the prosecution doesn't appear to be in any kind of hurry to get documentary evidence, to get ballistics evidence in front of the defense. Here's why I think that is. And here's why I think what the grandfather said is important. At the preliminary hearing, they telegraphed their plan. We're going to do these four things. We're going to introduce these four classes of evidence. Great. That's more power to you. Happy. Good to hear from you. They want the confession in. They want all this. I think that Tyler Robinson is okay until the preliminary hearing. And then after the preliminary hearing, he is in grave danger. That's what I don't think Candace wanted to say today, but I'm going to say it. I think what the grandfather just said is he's in grave danger. He didn't use those words. He may not even been thinking it. But if the gun doesn't fit, you must acquit. And that grandfather's using what's known as common sense. And we've talked about this. A jury is not required to leave their common sense at the front door when they come in and sit in the jury box. They're allowed to take the sum total of their life's experience and evaluate evidence. That grandfather made a very normal statement. I'm a hunter. I've shot a 30-06. I know what they do. I think that's probably why the prosecution's case is polling so poorly. We covered that last night. We showed a poll where only like 64% of people in Utah County, according to the sample they polled, thought Tyler Robinson was guilty. Well, if you think he was alone on the Losi Center roof shooting a 30-06, how can you think he's guilty? How can you look at the wound? How can you look at the lack of an exit wound? How can you look at the fact that his neck didn't explode? How can you look at the fact that he still has a head and think that somebody shot him in the neck with a 30-06? It doesn't add up. It is absolutely nonsensical. That is essentially what the grandfather is saying right there. You can't do this. It doesn't make sense. It's like telling someone you're going to shoot them with a missile and they end up with a little red dot on their shoulder. What? They obviously didn't get hit with a missile. If you shoot a Tomahawk missile at someone and they just get a little flesh wound, they got hit by something else. They didn't get hit by a Tomahawk missile. And if you shoot someone in the neck with a 30-06 and you just get the front part of the neck opens up and really nothing else happens to the rest of the body, they didn't get hit with a 30-06. And don't bring up MLK. MLK got shot at an angle. It hit his mandible, one of the hardest bones in the human body, the skull. It went through there and ejected out of the other side of him. It then entered him again, hit several more bones and organs, and finally lodged against his scapula, another one of the hardest bones in the human body. Thick, heavy, strong bone. The two wounds are not even comparable. Not even comparable. And anyone who would make that argument is full of bull butter. They're just lying to you. They're just lying to you. Anyone who tells you that wound is consistent with a 30-06 is lying to your face. Feel free to disregard anything else they say. And so when you look at this case and you hear what the grandparents are saying, and you can only imagine what they're going through if they feel like I do, that that's not a 30-06 wound, you can only imagine their frustration beginning to boil up as the months go by. You can only imagine even more frustration when they get to this hearing and they realize the government has not produced anything. They've produced screenshots of text messages, not the actual phone, screenshots of text messages, a reproduced picture of an alleged confession note, and a box of 30-06 shells with some weird Dremel drawings in them. And that's what they're going to try to take to get to a jury. Will that survive a preliminary hearing? Unfortunately, probably. The bar is very low. I don't want to say it won't. I don't want to say it will. I'm just saying, I think it's more likely than not that it does survive a preliminary hearing. And that's when Tyler Robinson becomes in grave danger. And here's why. Because once you have the preliminary hearing, you think these people on the other side right now, you think these Fed sloppers right now are armed to the teeth, talking about mountains of evidence, overwhelming evidence. It's so much evidence. You could do away with 90% of the evidence and you'd still have enough to convict him. Nonsense. You still have the same problem. That wound is inconsistent with a 30-06. We still do not see the actual examination of the phone. We just see pictures of a text message. I can make pictures of a text message right here. I can make them say whatever they want. We don't have the actual note. We have a recreated picture of the note, or maybe the picture of the note before it was burned, but we don't have the note to evaluate the pressure of the pen, the DNA, the sweat, the skin cells that would have fallen on it. In other words, you have the anatomy of a setup. You have the anatomy of a setup. And I'm assuming the grandfather is frustrated beyond all recognition. His grandson has gotten himself involved in something he never should have been involved in. And if he got involved in it voluntarily, then shame on him. He probably should be convicted of something. But convicted of pulling the trigger from the Losi Center and shooting a man in the neck with a 30-06? I don't think so. It's not overwhelming to me. It's just not overwhelming to me. And I don't think the Fed sloppers are intellectually honest people. I don't think that they believe what they're selling. I don't believe they've actually looked at it and actually believe what they're saying. You know how many hundreds or thousands of people have shot hundreds or thousands of rounds into various pieces of meat, steaks, femurs, hip bones, and tried to get a 30-06 to somehow magically stop inside of the meat, and they can't do it. And they're using steaks this thick, much thicker than a human neck. Same muscles, it's muscle tissue, it's soft tissue. It just blows right out the back every single time. And if there's a concrete block or a piece of wood behind it, it blows right through that as well. That's what I heard the grandfather saying. I heard him saying this is nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. And I think, unfortunately, the judge is probably going to allow the nonsense to survive the preliminary hearing. And so what we're going to end up with is, coming out of the preliminary hearing, Fed sloppers armed, literally armed with new information that they think convicts Tyler Robinson. My question is this: if you're so confident he did it, if you're saying it's overwhelming, it's undeniable, you could get rid of 90% of the evidence, would you convict him right now without a trial, without any cross-examination, without any examination of the evidence, without any examination of the gun? Because we have not seen any examination of the gun. Because if so, you people need to be so far away from public service, so far away from anything that affects the rights of human beings here in the United States of America. You need to be out of politics altogether. You don't understand the criminal justice system. You don't understand human rights. You don't understand why we have jury trials. You don't understand why we have a Fourth Amendment right to call witnesses in our favor, to examine evidence, to cross-examine witnesses. Crawford versus Washington. Confrontation means confrontation. You don't understand why we have a right to actually look at the real evidence, to evaluate what really happened. You can't just convict people. You can't run around telling people you convict people, that you could convict people or you want to convict people. And because of that, the judge actually issued an order to stop people from doing exactly that. We'll take a look at it. We've looked at it before, but there is a new filing in the case, and this new filing goes right to the heart of this issue. What is fair? What is fair when you've been accused of a crime? What is fair when you've been accused of a crime? This is defendant Tyler James Robinson's motion for an order to show cause for contempt of court by the Utah County Attorney, Jeffrey S. Gray, Utah Deputy County Attorney Chris Ballard, and for an order compelling them to produce discovery related to the contemptuous conduct. I'll summarize what that means. The judge issued an order and said, prosecutors, you may not speak about this case in a way that convicts Tyler Robinson. You may not speak on his guilt. You may not speak on his guilt. And what we find in this order is time and time again, members of the prosecution who are withholding evidence, who are withholding the phone, who are withholding the gun, who are withholding the ballistics reports, who are withholding the DNA reports, who are not turning anything over to the defense to allow them to properly prepare for a probable cause hearing, time and time again, they go out in public and talk to people. Here is evidence supporting Mr. Gray and Mr. Ballard's contemptuous violation of the pretrial publicity order. This is this quote-unquote gag order. We'll look at the gag order in a second because it applies to people other than the prosecution who are also violating this over and over and over again, and I believe also should be sanctioned and should be told you will be excluded. I don't know what they should. Actually, I don't know what should happen to them. I don't want a solution right now. I just want to look at the facts. March 31, 2026. This was just 3 weeks ago. The online news entity TMZ published an article entitled Charlie Kirk Murder Suspect Prosecutors Slam His Claims Bullets Don't Match. Here's what the article says. Attorney Chris Ballard tells us generally when a bullet fragment analysis comes back as inconclusive, that means the fragment did not contain enough detail for the examiner to say one way or the other. There's just not evidence there to determine whether the bullet was fired by a particular firearm. We have ample evidence to demonstrate beyond a reasonable doubt that Tyler Robinson committed this murder. We have ample evidence to demonstrate beyond a reasonable doubt. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the standard to convict someone. What he's saying is Tyler Robinson's guilty. And before we turn over the gun, before we turn over the bullets, before we turn over the ballistics reports, before we turn over the DNA reports, before we turn over the phone to allow them to examine it, we're going to go ahead and tell you he's guilty. That's what that sentence means. The article further quotes Mr. Ballard, quote, didn't mean to click it. He told us, can't speak about specific evidence, but the evidence that we detailed in the charging document is a general summary of the evidence that shows Tyler Robinson committed this crime. Again, stating the guy is guilty. There is an order that says the attorneys must follow the Utah rules that prohibit attorneys from saying this publicly. We'll look at the order in just a second. Finally, Ballard added, he is presumed innocent. Oh, that's nice. After you say he committed the crime, after you say there's ample evidence to demonstrate beyond a reasonable doubt he committed the crime, the ultimate decision will be up to the jury. We believe we will be able to overcome his presumption of innocence. March 31, same day, USA Today reported communications with Christopher Ballard. In other words, the prosecution is running and talking to the press. But I can say generally that when the results of a bullet fragment analysis come back as inconclusive, that only means the fragment did not contain enough detail for the examiner to determine whether the characteristics on the fragment were consistent with having been fired by a particular firearm. Ballard, the attorney on the case, the prosecutor on the case, confirmed the FBI and ATF are adding information to the initial reports which prosecutors expect will include data supporting the initial conclusions. As soon as the state receives those supplemental reports, we will provide them to the defense. I don't know why those supplemental reports are needed 7 months later. They've had plenty of opportunity, plenty of time, but that's neither here nor there. He also appeared on Fox News, where he attempted to explain away the results of forensic testing on a bullet fragment. He says the same thing here about the evidence. Instead of letting the judge decide, he's going out and telling everyone what it means. State prosecutor told TMZ the apparent evidence gap was not an issue. Generally, when a bullet fragment analysis comes back as inconclusive, that means the fragment did not contain enough detail. We have ample evidence to demonstrate beyond a reasonable doubt that Tyler Robinson committed this murder. And then we will present that evidence at trial. I want to show you, this is that's the Utah law. Let me open up the actual order here that the judge issued. And I want to open up this version because we have heavily redacted this so as to privatize some of the email addresses. But I think it's important that this applies not only to the attorneys, but also witnesses. We'll figure out which witnesses it applies to. Attachment H attaches our notice to potential Turning Point USA witnesses regarding the public out-of-court statements. Please forward this to the witnesses identified in the notice. This is a notice of the publicity order. This is the pretrial publicity order that says attorneys may not speak about the guilt of Tyler Robinson. And they went on and said, if you're a witness in the case, you also may not speak about the guilt of Tyler Robinson. How do they define witnesses? Well, they've identified 2 people here. I assume that's Erica Kirk as one of them. And I think the other one is either Blake Neff or Mikey McCoy, but I don't know that for sure. This notice is directed and should be forwarded to these people and anyone else from Turning Point USA who was present at Utah Valley University event on September 10, 2025. What does it prohibit? Opinions about the guilt or innocence of the defendant. Statements about the defendant's admissions. Statements about the character, reputation, or criminal record. Statements about testimony a witness might give. For example, if you worked for TPUSA and you were at the event, say your name's Blake Neff. You're not allowed to talk about testimony a witness might give, like his parents or the family friend. You're not allowed to say he's guilty. You believe he's guilty. You think he did it. You're not allowed to talk about his admissions, i.e. his text messages. So let's say, for example, we have footage of Blake Neff, and we do. I'll spoil the surprise. We do have footage of Blake Neff saying all these things. And Blake Neff says, we know he did it. There's a mountain of evidence that he did it. His parents turned him in. He confessed to them. He confessed to his friends on Discord. He confessed to his lover via text. That would be a violation of this order. That would be a sanctionable violation of the order. Now, the sanctions might go to the attorneys who failed to prevent him from saying these things, but it would be a violation of this order. There's no other way to say it. I don't know how to say it politely. And I'll go on to say, I don't believe they would be doing this if they thought their case was as strong as they want you to believe they think it is. They would not have all these TPUSA shows, the Charlie Kirk show, Blake Neff, Andrew Colvett, frankly, Erica Kirk. They would not have all these people constantly reiterating the fact that he's guilty, constantly reiterating the fact that he allegedly confessed, constantly reiterating the fact that his parents turned him in, constantly reiterating all of these facts. They would not be doing this if they thought they had a strong case. They wouldn't be attacking Candace Owens. They wouldn't be attacking your humble host. They wouldn't be attacking any podcaster. They'd be confident in their case. They'd say, well, we'll see what happens at trial. So there's a publicity notice, particularly, specifically to Erica Kirk in here. We'll slide down to that. That's right here. Publicity notice to Erica Kirk. It says it right there in the subject line. Now, I will say this. We did not redact this document. Well, we might have redacted some of it, but we did not redact this document. So that right there, that's not our fault that that's in there. They are the ones that left that in there. Please forward the attached publicity notice to presumably Erica Kirk, which is provided as ordered by the district court. We have identified Ms. Kirk as a potential witness at trial. She will almost certainly appear as a witness at the penalty phase of the trial and perhaps the guilt phase to testify generally about Turning Point USA and Charlie Kirk. And the publicity order is what we just went through, should be forwarded to Erica Kirk. But again, keep in mind, this applied not just to Erica Kirk, because she wasn't even there that day. It also applied to TPUSA employees who were there. Think about people like Brian Harpole. Think about people like Mikey McCoy. Think about people like Blake Neff. Think about all the Turning Point USA employees that were there. They're all bound by this order. This order applies to each and every one of them. And so when you go out there and you talk about statements like this, and I'll show you this here. You talk about statements like this from Blake Neff Speed. Tyler Robinson confessed to his parents. Not allowed to talk about his admissions. Who turned him in? His DNA was found on the trigger of the rifle, dumped in the woods near the UVU. Tyler sent text messages with his boyfriend confessing to the crime. Not allowed to talk about that, Blake. Person resembling Tyler was caught on surveillance video. That would be what we call a blatant violation of this order. Now, you could argue, well, my statements came before that order. Well, I mean, maybe, because then you have statements like this after the order from Blake Neff Speed. A radical leftist murdered Charlie. Countless others on the left celebrated and justified it. Now they're screaming because a banner in D.C. honors him. Despicable people. Well, the banner in D.C. that honored him was Tyler Robinson. Oh, no, it was Charlie Kirk. But if he's saying a radical leftist murdered him, we can safely assume he's talking about Tyler Robinson. Then we have this statement right here. The news about Joe Kent testifying for Tyler Robinson broke just minutes before today's show. I did not hold back my feelings about it. Well, you know what he said during this show? In the video, Andrew Kirk says that's a line in the sand we must hold because this could negatively impact the trial of the assassin of my friend. In other words, he is guilty. He's the one who did it. They also went on to accuse Kent of aiding and abetting a murderer. An obvious and blatant violation of the order that took place after the pretrial publicity notice went out that applied to every TPUSA employee that was there. And we all know Blake Neff was there. That's where he gathered the amazing nickname Blake Neff Speed. Here is another blatant violation of the order. This one from March 24th, 2026. Tyler Robinson literally confessed to his parents. Violation of the order. Turned in by them and his DNA all over the weapon used to kill Charlie. I don't know what all over means. So I guess what bothers me the most about these statements is these people who are desperate for Tyler Robinson to be convicted of this crime are violating the judge's explicit order not to do exactly this. Not to do exactly this. Not allowed to talk about the character, reputation, or criminal record of the defendant. Do you remember when Erica Kirk was on the Jesse Waters show? I don't want to play the video because it's long, but I will show a clip, or I'll show a brief piece here of her talking about the character of the alleged defendant. This was from the Fox News article that accompanied the video. Let everyone see what true evil is, Erica Kirk added. It's something that can impact for generations to come. This is talking about whether or not the trial should be televised. Let's see what true evil is. What about testimony a person might give, a witness might give, or physical evidence which may or may not be introduced at trial? Can we possibly forget this gem of a tweet that turned out to be a total lie and for some reason is still up on Twitter, shamelessly? I have no idea why he left this up. This is Andrew Colvett, spokesperson for TPUSA, and by extension, Erica Kirk, the CEO. I want to address some of the discussion about the lack of an exit wound with Charlie. Generally not interested in delving into most of this kind of online chatter. I apologize, this is somewhat graphic, but in this case, the fact that there wasn't an exit wound is probably another miracle. And I want people to know. You're not supposed to talk about any physical evidence which may or may not be present at trial. You're not supposed to talk about what evidence another witness might give. Here he is talking about the treating physician that he just spoke with who worked on Charlie in the hospital, talking about the magic bullet and Charlie's miraculous stainless steel neck, his neck of steel. His bone was so healthy and the density was so impressive that he's like the man of steel. Should have just gone through and through. Likely would have killed those standing behind him too. Yeah. You know why the surgeon would have said that? If he actually did, I'm sure he did say that part. Because it's a 30-06, and anyone who's ever shot something with a 30-06 knows this story doesn't add up. That's why we're still looking at this so many months later. What about physical evidence, which may or may not be introduced at trial? Here we have, once again, our good friend Blake Neff Speed, who is directly prohibited by the judge's order from talking about this case with respect to physical evidence, which may or may not be introduced at trial. Well, guess what? Here's Blake Neff talking about physical evidence that may or may not be introduced at trial. This time, a following handwritten letter from Tyler. Luna, if you're reading this, as per my text, I mean, because what 22-year-old doesn't speak like this? Per my text, then I'm so sorry. I left the house this morning on a mission and said an auto text. Yada, yada, yada. I could go on. I could keep going on. I could show these clips. There are dozens of them that we've archived here from just April 16th, 4 days ago. There's no doubt that that was the weapon that fired the round that killed Charlie. This was a tweet from Blake Neff quoting former U.S. Attorney Jay Town of the Northern District of Birmingham. Former prosecutor Jay Town laid out in detail on today's show why the new ATF report is so valuable for prosecutors in the Tyler Robinson case. Quote, there's just no doubt that that was the weapon that fired the round that killed Charlie. Again, direct violation of the judge's order. Why am I going on about this? Why could I keep going on? Why could I show a March 31 tweet from Blake that said they just want Tyler Robinson to get off while smearing the people close to Charlie as much as possible? Why could I keep going on with this? Why am I bringing this up? The prosecution case sucks. They know it. I know it. You know it. The prosecutors know it. The police know it. The defense knows it. It sucks. You cannot get reasonable doubt in this. I mean, you cannot overcome the burden of reasonable doubt in this case. You cannot overcome it. Not with screenshots of text messages. You can't overcome it. Not with a gun that hasn't been examined. You can't overcome it. Not with a 30-06. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. Anybody that has ever shot something with a 30-06 looks and says, that's not a 30-06 injury. Period. End of story. Innocent. Not guilty. Next case. What should we stay in the, do we get lunch, Judge? Do we have to sit through all the evidence? Can we just vote now before we do the opening and all that stuff? Can we just go ahead and vote? And because everyone knows the case sucks, because the TPUSA employees in particular know the case sucks, they cannot help themselves. They are willing to violate the judge's order that they not speak on these issues in order to taint the jury pool. And then they're going to gaslight you by saying that we're tainting the jury pool. I wasn't there. I'm not a witness. There's no judge's order telling me what I can and can't say. I was sitting at this very desk the moment Charlie Kirk was taken down. I got a call on this very phone the moment Charlie Kirk was taken down. I looked at this very computer and saw the video, the gruesome video footage for the very first time the day Charlie Kirk was taken down. I wasn't in Utah. I was in Middle Tennessee working. I can say anything I want about the evidence, about the merits of the evidence. I think it's noteworthy that the only person that was there that day, the only prominent person that was there that day who we could not find a record of him saying anything about the evidence in this case, the only noteworthy person is Mikey McCoy. I don't have any, I can't find one. If something exists, I haven't seen it. I see nothing from Mikey McCoy talking about the evidence, talking about the gun, talking about Tyler Robinson. Again, if it exists, we looked for it, didn't find it. I think the people who can't shut up about it look guilty as hell. They look like they have a personal interest in the outcome. And that personal interest is not just justice for the friend. It's a scapegoat. I think they look bad. It looks really bad. But this is why judges put these kind of orders in. This is why judges say, I don't want you doing this. I don't want you doing this. Prosecutors have an innate advantage in a criminal trial, an innate advantage. And typically that advantage is once a defendant's charged, most people think he did it. In fact, when you do jury selection on a criminal trial, and I have, when you do jury selection on a criminal trial, a lot of the people already assume they did it. Like sometimes you ask a blanket question like, can you guys consider the evidence and be fair and impartial even though he's been charged? And every now and then you'll get someone to raise their hand and say, I don't think I can. I mean, they charged him. They already saw all the evidence. They know he did it. Why are we here? You're like, well, judge, can we get this one out of here before she keeps talking? Before she puts that thought in the rest of everyone else's head, please? It's not uncommon. And if you look at polls on major cases like this, oftentimes you'll see 85, 90, 95% plus percent of people believe the person's guilty. It is so noteworthy that expert that testified Friday said that only 64% of people in Utah County, according to their scientific sample, only 64% of people thought Tyler Robinson was guilty. That means 36% of people can't say he was guilty. That's before they've shown any evidence. That's before the defense has put on any people. That's before they've cross-examined a single person. That's before they've shown any ballistics. I imagine if I'm the defense, you got to put somebody up there to talk about the damage a 30-06 should have done, right? I mean, that's going to pass 702. That expert should get through. It's a gunshot case. Surely the judge will let that happen, and you'll put somebody up there, and their training and expertise will be, I've shot a lot of 30-06s. I'm a firearms expert. I've got this certification and that certification. I've done ballistics reports. I'm a medical examiner. Whatever it is. But they're going to put an expert up there who just says 0% chance, guys. It did not happen. That is not the wound of a 30-06. I don't care what they pulled out of his body. I don't know where that stuff came from. I know it didn't come from a weapon on the Losi Center, not a 30-06 anyway. And the prosecution is going to have to overcome that. They have to overcome that. But I think it's interesting. Mikey McCoy, the amazing Mikey McCoy, the general, Mikey McCoy. The only person we could find that hadn't been incessantly running his mouth. Frank Turek's been incessantly running his mouth. Brian Harpole did 2 interviews. I think they were like 2 or 3 hours each. I couldn't even get through both of them. They were just nonsense. I didn't even watch one of them. I watched the Sean Ryan one, and I was like, ugh. But Blake Neff and Andrew Colvett cannot shut up about it. They have people on to talk about it. They go over pleadings. And they continually and incessantly proclaim the guilt of Tyler Robinson. With Blake, it's clear cut. That's improper. It's wrong. I would say it's unethical and it's immoral, but I don't know that Blake has ethics or morals. I see no evidence of that in his life. Andrew wasn't there. I guess he could make some sort of an outside claim. Will you paste it in there? Yeah, thanks. He could make some sort of an outside claim that he wasn't there and he's not covered by it. But I think being the spokesperson for the victims, the victim representative, this, no kidding, this is from 27 minutes ago. You guys think I'm making this up and we're nitpicking? This is while we're on the show. Blake Neff is commenting on the case. In the opening of her show today, Real Candace O claims that liars on the internet have falsely claimed that Tyler Robinson's family turned him in and that they have falsely claimed his parents recognized Grandpa's gun on the news, which is impossible, she says, since no photos of the gun were released before Robinson's arrest. This is a remarkably precise way to be dishonest because no one simply bothers to read the charging document, one that sees Robinson's parents did not recognize the gun. They recognized photos of the suspect, which were released by the FBI as looking like their son. Only then did they move on to suspecting that the rifle was a match. And at that point, the FBI had already announced they'd found a high-powered bolt-action rifle. We know Candace has seen all this. It's worth asking, why would she so deliberately misrepresent the evidence? Blake, I have a better question for you. Why would you represent the evidence at all when the judge has told you to shut your fat mouth? Why are you talking about this case at all, much less specific evidence in this case that goes to guilt, that goes to evidence that might be presented in trial? Maybe I'm old school, man, but if a judge told me not to do something, my goodness, it's like I tell my kids. I hope you've had this conversation with your kids if they're driving age. If you get pulled over in a car, let's say you were 10 and 2, you weren't on a cell phone, you're sober as you could possibly be, right? You're driving, you're 10 and 2, the speed limit's 40, and you look down, you're doing 39. Cruise control's on, so you know you're not speeding. And it's active cruise, so you know that even going down a hill, it's going to break you a little bit, keep you at 39 exactly. You know you're not weaving, you've got a dash cam, it's got everything recorded. You are not guilty of any traffic infraction. Nevertheless, you get pulled over. Let's say it's 10 o'clock at night. Cop walks up to the window. You roll down your window. What do? I've had this conversation with my kids. What do? You do everything he says. Absolutely everything. You answer respectfully and politely. You hand him the registration. You hand him the insurance documentation, and you hand him your driver's license. Before he even gets to the window, the dome light comes on in the car. The keys come out of the ignition. They go onto the floorboard, and both your hands go on the steering wheel. Why? You don't take chances when the man approaching your car has a gun. You don't take chances. You don't get smart. You don't say, what do you want, piggy? Unacceptable behavior. Unacceptable behavior. Ignition off, keys on the floorboard. Dome light on, 10 and 2, window down. If you need to retrieve the documents before he gets in the car, as long as you can do it quickly and they're all there together, fine. But don't go digging through make sure the hands are on the wheel when you see he's even close. You don't want to be digging through the glove, digging through the little compartment in the middle. console. You don't want to be digging through that stuff when a guy with a gun comes up to your car. He might think you have a gun. Might think you're looking for a weapon. You know why I pulled you over today? No, sir. I don't at all know why you pulled me over. You were speeding. Okay, I didn't think I was, officer. I had my cruise set at 39, but I understand you think I was, and I hear what you're saying. Okay, I'm going to write you a ticket for you were doing 57. Okay, officer, thank you. The scene of the crime is not the time to go over all this. It's not the time to push back. It's not the time to get smart. It's not the time to do all this. There's an authoritarian structure. There's a time and a place to prove all this. You can take your dash cam in with you to the municipal court judge and say, Judge, here it is. It says how fast I was going. You can see I wasn't swerving. I had my hands on the wheel. You can see all that from the camera inside the car. Like, there's no reason to risk it. Likewise, if you're in court and the judge says, I've heard enough from you. Please stop talking. Yes, ma'am. And you don't say another word. That's it. You don't say another word. They've heard enough from you. They've asked you to stop talking. Yes, ma'am. That's it. Conversation over. If the judge gives you a written order and says, I don't want you to talk about this ticket. Okay. If you disagree with the order, have an attorney file something. But you don't just blatantly disregard the order. Blake, if you think the order is unconstitutional, if you have a problem with the order, if you can't control your fat mouth, file something. Erica has 4 lawyers on this case. Borrow one of them for a half hour. Hey, gee, Erica's lawyers, I have a fat mouth and I can't seem to control it. I can't shut up. Do you think you could file something for me to see if I could get some relief from the gag order? I'm on a radio show and I have motor mouth. I can't possibly contain myself. I go home and I get hammered, apparently. I don't know what you're doing at 7:06 that makes you fire off this tweet in direct violation of a judicial order. But hey, so be it. But you don't just violate the order. You take the proper steps to get relief from the order. Or it's, in this case, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I will not talk about the case. I've got your order, Judge. I hear you loud and clear. I'm of no risk of violating the order, Judge. You won't have any problems out of me. Again, if you want a little relief, have an attorney file something and say, hey, he didn't see much. He's not expected to be called as a witness. Got a radio show, podcast, a Twitter feed with 80,000 followers. Pretty good sized following. My guy's dying to speak about it, Judge. Can you please relieve him from this order? Probably the answer is going to be no, but whatever. But if the answer is no, you just comply. You just comply, Blake. Comply with the order. There are plenty of people out there who can fight this fight for you. Graham Allen's just dying to tweet something. Officer Tatum can't get enough of this case. He is just begging to go out there and tweet something. You're under a judicial order, Blakey. You're under a judicial order, Blakey. Shouldn't be talking about it. Shouldn't be talking about it. A direct violation of the order. So here's what I would do if I was the defense. I would file a motion for sanctions against the prosecution. I would supplement my motion for sanctions against the prosecution, not just for their statements, but I would file a supplement to that motion. And I would say, I would like to add Blake Neff, Erica Kirk. I probably wouldn't add Erica just for strategic reasons, but Blake Neff, Andrew Colvette, Brian Harpole. And I would like to sanction the Utah County attorneys for not being clear with them that they violated your order by allowing them to do this and not continually following up with them every time they send a tweet and say, shut your mouth. You are killing us out here. Shut up. Shut up. And yes, I get upset. You know why? I take the court system seriously. For 20 years, I've been walking into courtrooms. And guess what? There's somebody sitting up there with a robe. And whether I like that person or not, and I've met a lot, well, I don't want to say that. I've met a few judges here and there I didn't particularly care for all that much. But you honor the robe. Even if you disagree with an order, you honor the robe. It's our entire civilization depends on the order of the court system. If the court system loses credibility because of Blake Neff's fat mouth, and people think they don't have to follow judicial orders, what does the rest of society look like for us? You know that Shakespeare line, first we'll kill all the lawyers, and everybody makes fun of lawyers like, even Shakespeare hated you guys. No, that's not what that meant. You understand? When Dick the Butcher said that, that's not what he was talking about. They were trying to overthrow civilization. And in order to do so, they had to first kill all the lawyers. Because the lawyers were the vanguard of civilization. They determined through the judges, through the adversarial judicial system, they determined who had freedom and who didn't, who got tried, who got convicted, who was able to speak, who was able to stay free. That's why you kill all the lawyers. It had nothing to do with thinking lawyers were bad guys and needed some sort of capital punishment. No, it was quite the opposite. It was quite the opposite. I don't know if this is why Blake was fired from the Marines. I thought it was because he was a rabid racist. I'm not sure which it was. But maybe, just maybe, the Marines realized that Blake had a problem with authority. He can't listen to judges. He can't follow directions. Maybe that's why he's unemployable and has to be so loyal to TPUSA. But I think this is absurd. A man's life hangs in the balance. The fact that you were there, the judge at least thinks your statements have more credibility than mine. That's why he's told you can't say anything. Speaking of lawsuits. We have a lawsuit here. I'm going to change gears a little bit. I have to cover this because Kash Patel and his girlfriend like to file lawsuits. Do you remember when the girlfriend went after like ex-posters and sued them all for like, I don't know, $5 million or something for calling her, I can't remember the words they used, a trap of some sort? The director of the FBI, a current sitting government employee, the chief law enforcement officer, essentially the chief cop of the entire country, is filing a lawsuit against the Atlantic for $250 million for hurting his feelings. FBI Director Kash Patel has sued the Atlantic and reporter Sarah Fitzpatrick over a story that alleged Patel has alarmed colleagues with episodes of excessive drinking and unexplained absences. The Atlantic called the suit meritless. They stand by their reporting. Are you guys aware of something called the Streisand effect? When you don't want people to know about something, the worst thing you can do is point it out. Like that Atlantic story, it got a few headlines and then it kind of went away. When you sue them for $250 million, it doesn't go away. The lawsuit continues. It's the same. I know what the word was. I'm not going to say it because apparently it earned you a $5 million lawsuit. And I don't necessarily believe it. But apparently the ex-posters were calling Kash Patel's girlfriend. You remember, I don't want to say the word. You remember Winnie the Pooh and he would find the bees and the bees produced that sweet nectar and he would have a whole pot of it and it was that sweet, sticky, sappy syrup that comes out of beehives. Starts with an H, rhymes with money. He would get a whole pot of that. They called her one of those. And she filed lawsuits against them. These are people that don't have $5 million, frankly. Not a lot of people do. But sued him for $5 million over calling her that. I had forgotten they said that. I'd forgotten people said that about her. But every time someone brings up the lawsuit, I remember, oh yeah, she did file the lawsuit against them. And it makes you remember what they said, and it starts making you wonder. I'm not me, ma'am. Country music sensation. I would never think that. But I can understand how other people might wonder if there was some merit to it. The fact that you filed a lawsuit, the fact that it bothered you so much. I can see why some people would sit back and say, well, is there something to this? And I bring that lawsuit up because I think what's happening there is exactly what's happening with Blake Neff and Andrew Colvett and everyone who can't keep their mouth shut on that. There's a severe lack of discipline. We've turned our country over to children. Turned our country over to children. I wish it wasn't true. I wish there was some better way to say it. But the people running TPUSA right now are children. They hire a lot of very young people. Draw your own conclusions about why. I saw where Tyler Boyer hired some young boy today, a young kid right out of college. Again, you draw your own conclusions. I'm not drawing any. I'm just pointing out the facts. But we turned the FBI over to a podcaster. We then hired as his deputy a podcaster. I mean, there's nothing wrong with podcasters, but I'm not sure it qualifies you to be the chief law enforcement officer in the country. We turned TPUSA over to a bunch of kids. Charlie, for whatever reason, naively hired a bunch of young people with not a lot of experience. And, you know, when he passed away, that's who was left. And they don't have the discipline to know how to perform. They don't have the discipline to know how to run the organization. And they're making a wreck of it. They're making an absolute wreck of the entire place. And I end where I started, which is where I kind of in the middle. I believe Tyler Robinson, after the evidentiary hearing, is in grave danger. There's a truth in politics that when you have a president, you're not going to impeach him if he's like at 50% approval ratings. It doesn't really matter what he did. You're just not going to impeach a guy with a 50% approval rating. What you're going to do instead is attack him. You're going to drive those ratings down. And once those ratings get down to like 25%, 30%, now you can impeach. Now you can impeach because he's lost the faith of the country. It's like a no confidence vote. Likewise, and I guess in reverse, people who are confident about the criminal case are not doing all this. Witnesses who have been told they can't speak are not out there speaking if they're confident in the case. Prosecutors are not running to TMZ in violation of the judge's order and, frankly, in violation of the rules of professional conduct in Utah, Rule 3.6 in particular. They're not running out to TMZ to tell people he's guilty. In fact, a confident prosecution, confident witnesses, people who at TPUSA are not personally invested in convicting Tyler Robinson, when they hear there's not a match for the bullet, they don't worry about it. Because remember, they told us that they could lose 90% of the evidence against Tyler Robinson and still get a conviction. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, fresh and breezy. You remember that? Oh, we can lose mountain of evidence. We can lose 90% of it. We'll still be fine. But notice the moment even one piece comes back questionable, they go into panic mode and damage control. They start running out to the press. That's not what that means. That's not what that means. That's not what that means. Thought you guys were confident in your case. I thought you had enough evidence. Thought you could lose 90% of it and still be fine. Are you telling me you're worried about the case? If you're not worried, why are you talking? Why is it so incumbent on you to violate the judge's order and run out to the news cameras, run out to Twitter, run out to the podcast, run out to, host people in? Why is that so important to you if you could lose 90% of the evidence and still win the case? Why are you worried about any of this? Go cover Trump's rallies. Go cover the war in Iran. You don't have to worry about this. It's over. You told us yourself that's how confident you were. It betrays their lies. And the lie is that they believe there's sufficient evidence to convict Tyler Robinson of murder. I will challenge them, particularly Blake and Andrew, but all of them. If you're that confident, if you truly believe, this goes to the prosecution as well. If you truly believe Tyler Robinson's innocent and you're sitting on a mountain of evidence that's going to steamroll him at trial, stop commenting on the case. Stop commenting on the case. Let the judicial course run. The wheels of justice sometimes move slowly. They grind at a very deliberate pace. And I know you guys are probably frustrated that this case looks like it may not start for at least another year or two. It's not unusual. I remember there was a case I covered on the radio in Alabama. I think it was like 2018 or 19. It still hasn't gone to trial. This involved, I think, an 18-year-old kid that shot a sheriff point blank. I don't believe that case has gone to trial yet. That was 7-8 years ago. I mean, nobody disputes he did it. Like, I'm not commenting on his guilt or anything. Nobody disputes that kid pulled the trigger. And we're still 7 or 8 years into this thing and hadn't gone to trial. Capital murder cases are slow, deliberate cases. A young man's life is in jeopardy. And if you're so confident, Blake, if you're so confident, Andrew, Erica, prosecutors, if you truly believe there's a mountain of evidence, try the case. Try the case. Why are you going to the press? Why are you trying to manipulate the course of the investigation? Why are you trying to taint the jury pool? Same thing you do to us. Same thing you say to us, that we're trying to taint the jury pool. I'm not. I'm just trying to figure out who killed Charlie Kirk, how, and why. I don't believe that's a 30-06 wound, so I think all three questions are still in play. But if you do believe that's a 30-06 wound, if you genuinely, sincerely believe that, I think you have mental issues, but that's neither here nor there. I don't want to clown on somebody's mental capacity if I don't have to. You truly believe they did it. He did it. You truly believe that young man walked onto campus with a 30-06, lay down in the prone position from the Losi Center, took a single shot with a 30-06, jumped off the building, ran away. If you truly believe that, let the evidence run its course. Let the prosecutors and the defense handle it. No reason to be saying all this stuff. Particularly when the judge has told you to shut your fat mouth. I think you should respect the judge in this instance. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I will get to some of your questions. I apologize that I was a little frustrated tonight, but when I read that motion for sanctions again today, it just reminded me of how much I don't think Tyler Robinson did it. Could I be convinced he did it? Sure. Sure, I could. But it's a heavy burden. It's a very heavy burden. It's beyond reasonable doubt. I would have to see very compelling evidence. Very compelling evidence. I could absolutely be convinced he did it. I am currently not so disposed to think he did it. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Share with your friends and family. Push, push, push. It helps the show. If you want to buy merch, I'll put the thing up right here. You can jump over there. We will have new merch. We were working on that today. Nurse Casey was working on that today. She was mocking up some great stuff that's going to be coming out soon. So if you want the stuff we have now, that still will be available here in the next week or so, but some new stuff will be rolling out very, very shortly. But that's the merch link, realbaronpodcast.com. On the top menu, there's a button that says merch. If not, just scroll down. You'll see it. I've done a very poor job of youtube.com/@BaronColemanClips, and I'm very close. I talked to Trigger Smart about it today, and he said I should ask for help from our audience, and I might do that. So that help request may be coming soon. And I will be more than willing to talk to somebody about it. I've done a very poor job on the clips, and we've got to get to that at some point. Now, the moment you've all been waiting for. CK episode dropped on TR case featuring Esquire. You talking about the Charlie Kirk show? and Andrea Burkhart, yes, we saw that. There wasn't anything there. I mean, they didn't really say anything. Now, there's not much to cover there. I already covered it. You're funny, 150,000 pennies. Wish, unfortunately, convicted boss. I wish, unfortunately, convinced boss to give $150,000. Hope okay. I'm going to check in with you regarding date for Orem visit. Christ is king. Indeed. Indeed. Baron, finally you're here. What do you mean, finally I'm here? I've been here every day. I was here Sunday. I was here last night. Last night was Sunday. I was here Thursday. I did 2 shows on Friday, one on the members channel, one with Jesse. If you're keeping track, I will be on with Zach Costello tomorrow, I think at 1 or 1:30 Central Time. So if you like Zach, you may want to tune in for that. I'll be on his show. I think it's at 1 or 1:30. I can't remember what he said tomorrow. During the hearing last week, the only consistency from the prosecution was his stutter. He kept pausing like he was waiting for stronger evidence to walk in so he could take it home for Shabbat Shalom. I didn't think the prosecution did a bad job. I think we get, thank you for that, by the way. I think we get conditioned by legal dramas to think that lawyers are like Hollywood actors, and they're just not. I mean, they're just not. Good evening, Mr. Coleman. Good evening, Beer and Tunes One. Just wanted to thank you for your Christ-based broadcast and all the information, inspiration, and laughs you bring. May the good Lord bless you and your family. Thank you. Very kind of you. Sorry, my messages keep sending prematurely. Emailed RBP with video about up-talking equals lying. Link timestamp included. We could use up-talking to know when Erica doesn't believe what she's saying. I don't believe her anyway, so thank you. Joe is still catching strays with his intro, watching from in-flight. I thought about that. When I first heard the rendition, I thought, poor Joe. Poor Joe. But you know what? She earned it. Okay, this opening is dope, and it's been in my head for a day now. I'm not kidding. I've listened to it 30 times. I love that opening. Love the opening. My husband asks, should I be worried about the amount of time you're spending with this barren guy? LOL. No, he should join in. Well, I don't mean that way. No, not at all. No, not at all. Your humble host is only educating and informing. That's all he aims to do. I missed your 100 show last night. Oh, you missed a party, Rock Candy Brandy. You should go back and catch it. That was fun. No. My brother unexpectedly passed not even a week into the year, and we celebrated his life yesterday with over 200 people. So I'm sending this super chat today. Christ is king indeed. He sounds loved, and I'm so sorry he unexpectedly passed. That is tragic. I'm sorry you're dealing with it. But thank you for joining us. I would not have made light of you missing the show if I would have read the rest of the comment before I did. Baron, I started OCIA last week. Christ is king. Say hi to my best friend Caitlin for me. Love your new theme song, Dude Jammin'. Amber's friend Caitlin. Hi. Hi. And congrats on OCIA. Let me know how it goes. Keep me up to date on that. High IQ in Northern Ireland with my mug and tea. EK is running out of referees and the ice cap is disappearing. Christ is king. Christ is king indeed. I hope the ice cap disappears. You know I'm a fan of melting Antarctica. I want to melt it. I want to know what's under there. I mean, I'm sure there'll be some catastrophic effects, but science, guys, trust the science. We melt Antarctica and we look at what's under there. There's a civilization flash frozen under there. I'm convinced. I'm convinced. You can't convince me otherwise. I want to see it. I want to see it. Northern Ireland. Why are you guys still British? Why are you guys still succumbing to the United Kingdom? Why don't you just break away and join Ireland? I'm sure there's some reason that I don't understand, but you're Irish. You're Irish. Baron, quick religion question. I'm LDS and we worship Jesus Christ, but don't say Christ is king. Is that a common Catholic phrase? It was nailed over his head when he was crucified. I don't know. Other than that, I love the phrase. I say it often. Early and often I say, Christ is king. I don't know. You should introduce it to your people. They'll love it. Baron, hearing you talk about Greenfield, Indiana last night was so cool. Yeah. I've been there many, many times. Driven down Meridian, driven down Broadway. Went to Weston Elementary. Yeah. Love the intro. Your show and this community truly mean a lot to me. Please pray for my city, Shreveport. We lost 8 beautiful children to gun violence yesterday. Devastating. God bless you and your family. I will pray for your city, Shreveport. Did you know I worked on the mayor's campaign in Shreveport? What's his name? Can't remember the mayor's name. I don't know if he's still the mayor, actually. Mayor of Shreveport. Yeah, Arsenault. Tom Arsenault. I didn't even know I worked on it. I was asked to do some legal work on a mayor's race in Louisiana, and I didn't even know what race I was working on. And it wasn't until I got paid for it that it said for Tom Arsenault. I was like, oh, okay. And then I saw he won. I was like, wow, how about that? So, small connection. But yes, I did not know you had 8 beautiful children lost to gun violence yesterday. That's tragic. Tragic. But I'm sure Mayor Tom Arsenault's on the case. Sent my first ever super chat last night and I got lost in the crash. So I had to send another one. Your work is incredible. Sending love from Oklahoma City. I read all those, by the way. Any of the super chats that got lost in the crash, I stayed up for an hour reading those. And some of them were quite touching, and a few of them were hilarious, by the way. But yes, love from Oklahoma City. Obviously, if you were here last night, you know that Oklahoma City was the subject of the opening statement. Baron, you're the best show on any network. God bless you and your family. Well, who am I to doubt Stephen Athey 2182? I mean, not me saying it, it's him. He sounds credible to me. Sounds brilliant, frankly. Thank you. But Baron, I don't miss a show. I love this high Q outfit and the grand jury. I absolutely love my high Q shirt and can't wait to get more merch. Keep going, Max. Christ is king indeed. Stay tuned. We'll be doing those rollouts here shortly. They're going to be great. There's a Bull Butter shirt coming. Listening with my son, and he says your new intro music is absolutely fire. It is fire. It was driven by the bass. All songs driven by bass are good. You guys ever heard the DuckTales intro? Do, 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 do. Yeah. That's what it reminds me of. Hold, please. Can I request RBC hats vented in the back? I'm picky. You're the best. Christ is king. You mean like a trucker hat? We could probably do. Nurse Casey, hats. They want hats. They want hats. King Beba Baron, my liege. My liege? I don't know what that means. Good day from Abu Dhabi. The only thing I know about Abu Dhabi is they used to end the Formula One season there every year. I think they still may. I'm having trouble watching Formula One this year, guys. The cars are boring. They're not racing for like a month because the Middle East is exploding. It's tough. It's tough to be a fan. Tough to be a fan, if I'm being honest. U.S. Army vets' beautiful fallen soldier presentation in the Congress Hall were arrested. I did not know that. This is news to me. Thank you. Love you, Baron. Love you, Sinner and Sage. This could be a sage green hoodie. Are we connected? Are we related? I don't think so. Awesome intro jam. Love this high Q outfit and our grand jury community. You make my weeks. Christ is king. Christ is king indeed. Thank you. A great show last night. Congratulations on your 100th show. Super glad I found you. I feel more high IQ for sure. Love everything about you and your show. Christ is king. Those are super high praises there. Thank you very much. Christ is king indeed. Yeah, the 100th episode was kind of humbling. I actually laid in bed last night. My wife and I talked about it for a minute, and I was like, well, that's kind of amazing, actually. Everything that's happened in the last 100 episodes is kind of surreal. Happened very fast. Very fast. I'm curious about what Terrell Farnsworth whispered to Charlie before the bang that caused him to move his mic. We're looking for that footage in my bookmarks, and it seems to have been removed. I just watched it the other day. It's all over the place. Maybe the particular bookmark you have has been removed. That video is very available. I think it had something to do with him turning the mic. He did this. I think he wanted to turn the mic so that the feedback would stop is the impression I got. But I honestly don't know. Maybe he'll testify. Maybe we'll find out. Brian, my boyfriend and I love you. It's platonic love, ladies and gentlemen. This is not hanky-panky. Tried sneaking your 100th episode while he slept 5 minutes in. Tilly triggered a bark fest with my Jack Russell. Caught before I even got to the opening, sending love. I'm sorry. She won't do it. She probably will do it again, actually, the more I think of it. Yeah, that's my fault, though. I didn't block the door like I normally do. Sorry, guys. Tell your boyfriend I apologize. Irrelevancy alert. Can you explain to me how praying to the saints isn't like idol or false God prayer? Sure. When you ask your neighbor to pray for you, are you engaging in idol or false God prayer? I wouldn't think so. Same thing. As a non-denominational Christian, I've never learned anything about them, and I've always been intrigued. Yeah, same thing. So we as Catholics and many other Christians, frankly, believe that the saints are more alive than we are. They've been glorified. If you read Revelation, you find that the saints in heaven are under the altar and are quite aware of what's going on here on earth because they're begging God, how much longer are you going to let this go on? And so we ask them to, as they're praying, as the Revelation tells us they're doing, we just ask them, will you add these prayers to the sweet offering of incense going up before the Lord? On the off chance they have no idea and it doesn't work, God knows our heart. He knows we're asking for someone to pray for us, just like when you ask Aunt Sue to pray for your bunions, or I'm not suggesting you have bunions, but I just don't want to befall a tragedy on you by saying some horrible thing. But, say you've had some tragedy hit your life and you go and you ask Aunt Sue, I know you're faithful. You seem like a great Christian woman. Will you please pray for me? It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's not false God. You wouldn't call her a false God. You certainly could go directly to Jesus, but you've chosen to involve Aunt Sue. Poor Aunt Sue. But thank you for the question. Good question. X is fired today. In case you missed it, Iran-Iraq sandbox was due to 40 years of weather mod facility in UAE. Iran bombed it and began to rain. Who are we? Shaking my head. I saw that story, and I don't know what to make of it. If you didn't see the story, apparently there was a radar facility or something in UAE. I don't even know if this is true. This is just what's going around on X, and I'm just going to repeat it. But apparently the Iranians bombed it. And once they bombed it, this multi-year drought, they were considering moving Tehran, like abandoning Tehran and moving it somewhere else because they were in such a severe drought. Water was becoming an issue. Nothing would grow. And as soon as they bombed this facility, so the story goes, again, I don't know if it's true. As soon as they bomb the facility, the heavens open up. Starts raining. Now they got water just overflowing. Their locks are filling up. Their dams are filling up. Their reservoirs are filling up. The rivers are filling up. Now, if that's true, that's demonic. If you would take steps to cause rain not to fall on someone because you consider them an enemy, think about that. Like, you're damaging the kids. You're damaging innocent civilians who are just farmers. I don't know if it's true or not. But if it's true, it's horrific, and it should be, it's a war. It's a crime. These people should be charged. Whoever's doing this, if it's true, there should be some accountability. You can't do that. You can't stop rain from falling on your enemy. That's horrible. Greeting from Bucks County, PA. Now listen, I don't know much about PA, but I'm told that's where all the rich people live. Bucks County. I spent a year in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, and everyone talked about Bucks County and how rich they were. I'm not accusing you of being rich. That's just what I was told. That's where the rich people live. Bucks County, PA. But I'll finish. In the same club, 8 kids, 4 boys, 4 girls. Well, it's not quite the same. I got 5 boys, but that's close. It's close. Hubby and I are celebrating 26 years in September. We love your show. God bless. Christ is King. Sounds like you've been married about a year longer than I have. That we are very similar. Except I don't live in Bucks County. Not a Bucks County resident here. So are we really that same? I don't know. Found it quite humorous that when Chat and Google tried to gaslight you about the pronunciation of buccal, you came back the next day with an opening statement about gaslighting. Well played, good sir. I did not even consider the timing of that. But yes. I don't want to hear anything about a buccal swab. It's not pronounced buccal. It doesn't look like buccal. If it is pronounced buccal, it should change immediately to buccal. It's a buccal swab. Get your hands off my buccal. Complain to YouTube. No notifications, although signed up. Yeah, I'll send them another note. I sent them a note last time, and they seemed my notifications seemed to fix. So maybe I'll send another note. I apologize. I'm doing everything the same on my end. You have a rare kind of charisma. You make me feel like I'm hanging out with my funniest, most insightful friend. Thank you, Baron. Well, thank you, Edith. I don't even know what to say to that. But thank you. They're very kind words. Gifted 5 membos from Bella Stella. Pray for Peter Monahan, Gator Pete. Prayers from AU. I don't know who that is. Duly noted, though. Trying again since it was lost last night. Her up talk is a holdover from her pageant days. Listen to any pageant girl talking a pageant. Christ is king, indeed. Go Max. Hey, listen. If I'm voting on the pageant and some girl talks like that, I'm voting for someone else. If they all talk like that, I'm not voting. I'm putting in a fake ballot. I'm putting in an empty ballot. But Baron, who are you voting for? Your ballot came back with nobody on it. Yeah, because they all up talked. Yeah, but you got to put somebody. I can't. I vowed that I would never vote for someone who talks like that. Yeah, but you're one of 3 judges. Well, the other 2 are going to have to decide it. I can't make a decision if they're going to talk like that. Can you quickly recap why Charlie thought he was going to be arrested if Trump didn't win? Can't find where you talked about it prior. Christ is king, indeed. Well, we can only speculate. And I got to be careful speculating because it is just speculation. I'm not going to speculate, actually. Apparently, he thought that there was some investigation. I don't know if it was money or it would just be speculation. I think that would be irresponsible to speculate, but he seemed awfully relieved when Trump won. Single Catholic here, financially stable. Would love to connect with someone who loves to watch RBP as much as I. But Baron, Candace is the GOAT. Christ is king. I'm not going to argue with you there. If you allow that. Gentlemen, there's blood in the water. Be careful what you wish for, CVO 688. You're going to get a lot of offers. Single Catholic, financially stable, loves RBP. Gentlemen, she sounds perfect. She sounds like an amazing catch. Best luck to you. Love the community and our humble hosts, as well as the mods and Fleet, too. The mods are great. I don't give the mods enough shout out. The mods are fantastic. They've cultivated this community. They've helped cultivate this community. And Fleet, what can you say? She's stellar. Absolutely stellar. Thank you for 100 episodes. My urbonics are not as eloquent as Lionel's verbatim, but you're the best. Blank the JE class, not you or I. Yeah. Lionel's very eloquent. And thank you for the kind praise there, Peter. What's this new gifting thing? Is it new? Your chat was animated by all kinds of fun gifts today. I don't know. I haven't seen it. You talking about the gifts of the memberships? That's the only gifts I'm aware of. Also, entire chat turns to music, dancing emojis during the intro. It's fun to see. Love this outfit. Yes, it's a high IQ outfit, Miss Cato. There's no doubt about it. I figured you guys would have fun with that opening. I was grooving out as well. I think Brandy and Billy may have had a falling out. Baron, your hair looks great, and this is my favorite time of day. Wow. Thank you. I appreciate that. I think you may be right on the Brandy and Billy thing. They've not done anything together in quite a while, and I've seen where they're both doing independent things with other people. So, best of luck to them. I think highly of them. I think they do a good job. Very inquisitive young women. They got a nose for good stories, and I wish them both the best of luck. Didn't get to watch live yesterday. Happy 101st episode, Baron. Kristen, thank you, Critter KC. I sure appreciate that. Thank you. Fantastic opening statement, King Baron. Thank you. Always learn so much from you. Christ is king indeed, and Jesus loves you. Jesus loves you as well. There'll be some Jesus Loves You merch coming as well for those that are watching for the merch. What do they call it? The merch drop. So Bella Stella, stay tuned on that. I liked the opening quite a lot today because I learned a lot from it. I was aware, obviously, of the Iran-Contra affair, but I wasn't quite aware of all the details and all the connections. And researching that opening, I really learned a lot. And I had to leave a lot on the cutting room floor just for time. Hi, Baron. Hope you're well. Great 100th episode. We know Erica wears many hats. She should be cast in the movie I Know What You Did Last Summer. Oh, gosh. Hey, let me say this. That was scary. I don't like scary movies. I don't like scary movies at all. And I thought because of I was in college, I think, when that came out. I thought because of the cast that it wouldn't be too bad. And I went and watched it in the theater. Was I in college? What year did that come out? I know what you did last summer. 1997. Yeah, I'd have been in college. So I was unaware how scary it was going to be. It freaked me out. But I don't like scary movies much at all. In fact, I don't know if I could be married to someone who did. Mrs. Coleman also does not like scary movies. And I don't know that I could be married to someone who likes scary movies. That weirds me out. Do you think Iran war is theater for pre-negotiation? I think it's theater for pre-negotiation. What are we negotiating? I mean, that's how you get out of a war is negotiate. I don't know what that means, but I appreciate it. Any relation to Khashoggi, who was deleted in Saudi the first year anniversary of the Vegas? Yes. I didn't draw that connection in the opening. I should have. That's his dad. Adnan Khashoggi is Jamal Khashoggi's dad. Yeah, it's exactly related. And now that you know that, what do you make of the Jamal Khashoggi hiring at the Washington Post? And what do you make of his deletion by the Saudis? And what do you make of his potential connection to Vegas? Any history shows that led to our founding in the works for our 250th? Would help illuminate where the infiltration of our government crept by foreign interests away from U.S. isolationism. Go Max. Of course, we'll talk about stuff as it gets closer. We've got 3 months left. After so many years, I'm finally getting to know the history of my country, Nicaragua. Thank you, darling Gamini. Yeah, the Iran-Contra affair was. I think we're still feeling the effects of it, frankly. Baron, Wichita, Kansas is the air capital of the world. I did not know that. We have 5 aircraft company along with an Air Force base. We have the largest supply chain of military regular aircraft parts in the world. Christ is king. That's interesting because Wichita comes up a lot in our flight logs. And I guess that would make sense. This is truly a setup by TR having a family gun. Just a happy coincidence, or do you think they knew he had a gun and picked him to be the patsy? Well, you wouldn't pick a patsy without a gun. I mean, assuming he's the patsy. You wouldn't pick a patsy without a gun. That would not be of much value to you. So I think it's just unfortunate for the FedSlop narrative that the gun he brought was a 30-06. I wonder if they told him, like, can you bring a 22 LR? Can you bring a smaller gun? Do you have a carbine? Do you have a pistol carbine in there somewhere? Do you have like a 9mm carbine? That would be really convenient. I don't know. But Baron is showing the intellectual dark web soon. That's a great opening. I've hinted at the intellectual dark web. I actually did kind of a segment on it one time, but that would be a great opening. That's a great idea. Thank you for that. I will put that down on my notes and do that at some point. That's a great opening. Brandon, at some point, could you please discuss the 17 techniques for truth suppression as described in the Martyrdom of Thomas Merton? Grand jury would benefit from learning about this. Christ is king indeed. Yes, that would be a long opening. I might have to do it might be like a member show. That would be a very long opening. That's not something you can do in under 15. I try to keep them like 15 minutes or less. Jamal Khashoggi, journalist, oft was his nephew. I thought it was his son. Is it his nephew? Let me see here. Hold, please. Yeah, maybe it's his nephew. Yeah, nephew. Good call. Good call. Interesting. He didn't have any kids. Or at least none that made, Adnan didn't, any that made Wikipedia anyway. I wonder if he was like Lindsey Graham. By that, I mean he carried a bubble wand around Disneyland. I don't mean anything else, guys. 2028 election will be a loyalty test for candidates who are real American patriots, isolationists, and who are traitors working for finger brows country pretending to be American patriots. You talking about Ben Shapiro? Angry Ben versus Happy Ben? Angry Ben Shapiro does not like that comment, man. Not at all. Very angry Ben at that comment. I personally will not vote for another single human being for public office who does not say their primary and perhaps only concern is the United States of America. And if I even get a hint that there's a country that's even close, I don't care if it's Guatemala, Mexico, Canada, Bahamas, Jamaica, Mistake, Colombia, Israel, Saudi Arabia. If I get a single hint that there's another country that they're worried about their interest in any way, I'm out. I'm out. I'm sick of this crap. So sick of it. So sick of it. 3-month dad intro equals best baby sleep song. 1 hour loop, please. I could probably run it on a loop. I could probably put it on the Clips channel and put it on a loop, and you just listen to it for hours. That would help me get my hours up over there. I've never listened to an intro on purpose. I always skip it. I love yours. How dear. Go Max, friends. We will do that. I could not be prouder of the work AdFleet did putting that together. It's phenomenal. J.E. reminds me of Richard Roper in Night Manager. Richard Roper, Night Manager. Let me see here. I don't know that I've ever seen that. Hugh Lowry. Oh. Well, it must be something with the character because I don't think they look alike. Talking about a house? I don't know that he looks like House. I do know that the first time I heard House use his real accent, I was shocked. I mean, I was shocked. I had no idea he was Australian. He started talking. I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Why is that Australian accent coming out of the House's mouth? That is weird. I stare at X thinking all the users are trying to rage bait me. They are. X pays for engagement. How in the world does anyone believe all the lies being made up and slung around? It bewilders me. They don't. They don't. If evidence for the prosecution is not delivered in a timely manner, is there recourse? And if it's presented after without giving it to the defense first, what happens then? Well, they would not be able to present it without giving it to the defense, clearly. And I'm trying to debate what kind of explanation I want to give here. So in Utah, there's a continuing duty to provide discovery to the defense. But in this case, the prosecution doesn't have it. They don't have possession of the gun. They don't have the reports from the ATF and the FBI. So their contention is we can't give it because we don't have it. Well, that's a stupid game. I hope the judge puts a stop to that. That's a stupid game to play. But after the preliminary hearing, assuming the judge finds probable cause to continue the trial, after the preliminary hearing, the judge will begin at that point listening to discovery disputes where he'll not mediate, he'll make orders. He'll compel. So the defense would file a motion to compel certain discovery. They say, we've asked for it politely, judge. Here are our emails. Here are our letters. They're not responding. They're not giving it to us. Here are their excuses. Can you please force them to do it in a timely manner? And the judge may or may not get involved and force it. So, but every court has an exchange of evidence before the trial date. But that would be far too late for stuff that requires expert testimony. Trigger Smart. I know you. I love your work. Hey, Barron needs someone volunteer at first who can create, edit, and optimize clips for all his social media. No, primary Clips channel. No, not social media, just the Clips channel. I'm not worried about the social media. Just the Clips channel. Reach out to him or mods if interested. Hit that like. Yeah, thank you, Trigger Smart. You've done the dirty work here for me. He knows this because he and I were talking on the phone today, and I mentioned it. I don't want to mess with the Clips channel anymore. I just want someone else to do it. And he and I were talking about it, and he had a great idea. He's like, hey man, there's some really creative people out there. I'm sure someone would help. I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. Rather than us having to learn it in-house. Be a lot easier for someone that knows what they're doing to help. So if you're interested, yeah, that'd be great. You can hit realbaronpodcast@gmail.com. We'll look for those emails. Thank you, Trigger Smart. Thank you. Shawnee is amazing at all times. I want everyone to know that. What's wrong with this picture, Tonto? Me see him horse hockey and cow tracks, Kimosabe. There's a lot of horse hockey going on. There's a lot of horse hockey. I thought I had weird expressions. Bull butter is nothing to horse hockey. Nothing. Thank you, Shawnee. Thank you. Your support is amazing, by the way. Absolutely amazing. Thank you. They will convict Tyler with public opinion. They will eliminate him after the pretrial. And where's the autopsy? Those are my thoughts, Mitch. Those are my thoughts. That's my concern. If the defense allows if the judge allows the prosecution to go to the probable cause hearing and put up pictures of text messages, summaries of reports, not the actual reports, no underlying data, if they allow them to do that, it will be devastating to the public opinion. And at that point, just like I meant to not finish that point earlier, just like you only impeach presidents once you push their public opinions down, you only delete defendants once you push the public into the idea that the person did it, because then they don't care anymore. That's why no one really cared about J.E. when he went down. I mean, everyone was pretty convinced he was guilty. Great comment, Mitch. Thank you. Love the new opening song. Same. Congrats on 101 shows. My super chat was lost last night. It was not. I saw it. I think. I mean, assuming I saw it. I saw all the ones I was able to find, and I think they were all of them. There's a bunch of them that got lost. Hope you recovered them all and the money sent your way. Christ is King, indeed. Yeah, YouTube clocked them all. So we were able to capture them. I wasn't able to put them up on the screen because the little program I have that captures super chats and put them up on the screen, that's what crashed. But thank you. Christ is King, indeed. Thank you very much. Maybe the reason they went with the 30-06 is because everything was already planned and they assumed the explosive device they used was going to do way more damage than it actually did. That's a really good point. I hadn't considered that. Maybe whatever went into his neck was supposed to do tremendous damage and it was going to look like a 30-06. My thought was it was supposed to go into his chest and it accidentally went into his neck. And now we got a problem on our hands because a 30-06 to the chest, I mean, might stop in the chest. You know, it hits the sternum, it hits the ribs on the way in. But that soft tissue out here, you can just feel it. Look, I mean, you can look at this. Look at that. You telling me a 30-06 is stopping this? And I've got a 16.5-inch neck, according to dress shirts, bigger than the average yogi, right? And it just go right through it. 16.5 inches around this way, not front to back. I mean, front to back, it's what, 2-3 inches? 6 inches? Thank you. Totally unrelated. I would love your take on Leo Wanta. Happy 100th. Christ is King indeed. Who is Leo Wanta? Somali ambassador to Canada and Switzerland. Don't know anything about him. Convicted in 1995. What did he do? I'll have to look into that. I don't know much about that. I'll have to look into that. Thank you. Candace said the delay in the case is a prosecutor's strategy. You think they may be concocting evidence, trying to grasp at anything to pin TR? Are there any cases when this actually happened besides the Karen Reed trial? That's not how I interpreted what she said. So I'll give you my take. I think the delay is not to concoct evidence. I think the delay in turning stuff over is so that the defense can't properly prepare for the probable cause hearing, for the preliminary hearing. Because if the defense is able to properly prepare for the preliminary hearing, well, then they come armed for bear. And they have a harder time than convincing you that Tyler Robinson is guilty. And keep in mind, right now, only 64% of people surveyed in Utah County believe he did it. They need to drive that number up north of 90 with this preliminary hearing. And I just don't know that they're going to be able to do it. I don't know that they're going to be able to do it. Sorry, I'm watching something real quick. Okay. Hold on. I got a notice on something. I'm making sure it's not happening again. What happened last night? I think we're good. Tyler was involved in the case because the color of the day for the military operation was red. He had a red shirt on at the Dairy Queen. I mean, you would know more about that, Mitch, than I would, but that's not my understanding. That's not my understanding. I don't have any evidence to support that. So if that's something the military does, that's way above my pay grade. But you might know. But Baron, if the evidence is so overwhelming, why hold it or make it difficult for the defense to examine it? Christ is king. All good questions. Again, if the evidence is overwhelming, just give them everything. You want something? Here, have it. You know what I mean? Like if you're playing a 5-year-old in one-on-one and you're up 20-0 and your 5-year-old calls traveling. Okay, here's the ball, kid. Have fun. SWAT. Give me the ball back. Yeah, I mean, you only play this if your hand sucks. Future opening, Cloward Piven strategy. I love when people tell me what I should cover. Brake system, rebuild it larger. Is TPUSA 2.0 trying to do this? Actual result, destroy it. I don't know about that. I don't know. I'm aware of the Cloward Piven strategy, but I'm Cloward Piven, but I'm not aware of if that's TPUSA's mindset. Curious what happened to the time travel, Charlie. What does that mean? What do you mean what happened to it? I don't know. I mean, I know what you're talking about with time travel, Charlie. I'm hesitant to comment on it because I don't know what Candace has said publicly and what she's told me privately. Because I asked her specifically about that. And I can't distinguish in my head right now what she's talked about and what she hasn't. There may be something she said that she doesn't want me to say. I will say she's not off base in what she's saying. I'll say she's not off base. Time travel may be not the most descriptive term for my understanding of everything. Romans 8:28 came to mind last night when you shared how you believe we are in the sum total of all our experiences. Thank you for openly sharing your faith. Christ is king indeed. He is king indeed. Yes. Thank you. I thought about that verse as well. I believe it. So bummed. Migraine last night. Just couldn't watch. Miss telling you happy 100. Caught up this morning. Been here since 3rd CK show. Wow, you've been here a long time. Thank you for a safe place with people with common sense. Here till the end. Christ is king. Christ is king indeed. Kristen Biter? Wait, hold on. Am I reading that right? Kristen Biter? Is that a last name or is that a adjective? I'm kidding. If that's a sore subject, I apologize. You know, like some people have a last name and people make the same joke over and over, and I apologize if it is. But if it's descriptive, man, you're just putting it right out there. Christ is king indeed. What can I say? What can I say? As for the migraines, I get these. I don't get the headache migraine, but I get the visual aura migraines. You ever get those where you can't see anything? Everything's just like blank. It's not like it's missing. It's just blank. It's the weirdest feeling. And the only thing I can do to cure it is like go lay down in a dark room, and then like an hour later, it's fine. I want to say I appreciate you. I think everyone involved is an actor, including TR, family, and lawyers, in my opinion. It was odd that he told the police the lawyer he wanted as if he was scripted. Christ is king. Christ is king indeed. He turned himself in. They probably talked about it on the way. Someone probably said, hey, don't answer any questions. Ask for this lawyer. That would be my guess. That would be my guess. I don't think his family and lawyers are actors. I disagree there. Chris Ballard went to BYU. It might be interesting to see any other possible ties, conflicts of interest between him, our greatest ally, and Erica Kirk. Maybe campaign finance donations to start. Well, do it. You can look up all that stuff. Let me know what you find. My brother was killed 28 of April, 25, age 35. Had to switch off the machine. I can hardly get out of bed. Erica does public speaking events. Wow, shameless. Jitterbug, I'm telling you, people who have lost people close to them, including spouses, I guess brothers the same, they're her worst critics. I have the great fortune to not be in your position. I cannot empathize with you. I've never been there. I can only sympathize, and I do sympathize with you. I can't imagine what that's like, but all I know is every single person that seems to have experienced something remotely similar to that has much the same response to her. Is it possible the feds are actually setting up Tyler to walk by withholding info, etc.? No. In order to allow the real perps to skate, they can say, well, we tried, but Tyler got off, case closed. No, I don't think so. They would just say the bullet, I don't think so. I don't think so. But Baron, please give my kiddos, Mackenzie, 6, fellow Ginger. Gabriel, 3, a shout out. Good evening. I assume you're over here. Mackenzie, my fellow Ginger, and Gabriel. Charlie Kirk died on my 40th birthday. I'm so thankful to have this high IQ outfit. Truth-seeking, faith-filled fam. Be blessed. Well, well, I guess it wasn't such a happy birthday. It was kind of a national tragedy, but what a weird coincidence. That will always be your 40th birthday. 12 days until your wedding. Melanistic Fox Mama. You got to change your name when you get married. You know that, right? You can't be Fox Mama when you get married. Now you got to be something else. You can't be Fox Mama. I would not allow my wife to be Fox Mama online. For every day, these people are exposed for what they are in protection over Tyler. They're pure evil. It makes my blood boil. I wish you were his lawyer. Thank you, Baron. He may have great lawyers. I mean, we've only seen a little bit of their work. I think their work has been okay. I had some questions at times. Why are they allowed to violate orders? Because no one's holding them accountable. He won't shut his fat mouth. And no one seems to be contacting him saying, shut your fat mouth. They're not going to produce discovery, then they must drop the case. But the safest place for Tyler is in jail. Yeah, I think they'll eventually produce discovery. I hope the Utah County Sheriff is keeping him safe. Does Frank Turek count under gag order? Is he TPUSA employee? Thank you and your team for all your hard work. Crisis King. Crisis King indeed. Technically, no, I would think, because it said employee of TPUSA who was there. But I think the judge should consider him one, considering he was in the getaway car. Not the getaway car, but the transport car. He arrived with them. He was passing out hats. He was standing right there. I would think he should. Thank you, Denise. Baron, is Blake or Erica an employee of TPUSA? Yeah, they both are. I believe. Erica is for sure. I think Blake is. Maybe he's just with the Charlie Kirk show. I don't know. If Blake is a contractor, Erica's CEO would either be an employee. Well, the CEO would be an employee for sure. Technical details that might matter. Crisis King. Crisis King indeed. Yeah, if I don't want to go to the judge arguing I just work for the Charlie Kirk show, not TPUSA. That would be a tough argument. If I'm the judge, that's going to be a long day for him. Hey, Baron, Blake Neff literally violated the gag order again while you were on air on X. They're trying to get so hard to get TR convicted before the trial. Christ is king. Indeed. I agree. Wasn't Erica saying she forgives him a huge no then? The order wasn't out yet, but yeah, I think she should have been advised not to say that. Butler, PA was Israel's first warning to Trump. Charlie was the second warning. There won't be a third, and Trump knows it. Source, MAGA Coroner Report. I don't know what a MAGA Coroner Report is. But I understand why you would say those things. Hello from Mississippi. Howdy. Truth wins. Crisis King indeed. Thank you. He's in grave danger after the preliminary hearing. I agree. That was my point. We will produce said ample evidence at trial, saying not now because we don't have any. They'll have to stop the trial before evidence must be produced or be exposed. That's why I think he's in grave danger. I think they want to get past the preliminary hearing, introduce all kinds of scam stuff that would never fly at trial, that would never pass the rules of evidence. And then, I mean, they even said as much in the hearing. If you listen to the hearing the other day, they said, it's not like the rules of evidence apply. Well, no, I mean, I get that. But guys, what you're saying is you don't have evidence that he did it. Where's this mountain of evidence? I want to see mountains. I really like to know why the sheriff resigned, although I think I might. Well, they said he had a harassment issue. Starting to think the prosecution may be withholding evidence from the defense to buy time until Tyler's bye-bye. We're all starting to think that, and it terrifies me. Can Blake Speed or Andrew go to jail for ignoring the gag order? I don't think so. With 3 littles, I never get to watch live. I'm used to watching at Blake Neff speed. So watching live seems like slow-mo. Hooray, after party. You know what's funny about that? My Spotify podcasts are set to 1 1/4 speed. And like if I listen to Tucker or listen to Joe Rogan or somebody and they have theme music, that 1 1/4 speed is the sound I know the theme music. So when I catch them on YouTube and I don't have it set to 1 1/4 speed, it sounds like someone's got this, like they have it on slow-mo. I'm like, why is the song so slow? Oh, that's why. Yeah. Like Tucker's song sounds so slow to me, unless it's ding, 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 ding. Hi, big question. Can someone from the public share the violation of the gag order with the court or only the defense? Thank you for all you do. Christ is king indeed. I think all pleadings have to come through the defense. I don't think you would want to intervene for that. Oh, Captain, my Captain, Baron, finally. Someone who understands my importance around here. I'm allergic to Fed slop. The same. Makes me cough. That's why I cough so much. It's everywhere. Congrats on number 100 yesterday. Love the new opening. I listened to it several times this morning. Thanks for all you do. Christ is king indeed. I, too, am allergic to Fed slop. Tastes like Alpo. Good for dogs. Not good for humans. If people would read the Bible independently, cover to cover, instead of listening to pulpit TED Talks, they would understand that Israel means the descendants of Jacob. Promised land is never called Israel by God. I don't even know that it belongs to the descendants of Jacob. Can I say that? I'm really hesitant to say that. If it belongs to anybody, it belongs to the church. I said it. The church is the fulfillment. The church is the descendant of Abraham, according to Scripture, according to Paul. There's no other. I don't want to fight that right now. I did a whole opening on it on Holy Monday. Grandma always said the guilty one screams the loudest, and don't do that. Last one was for me. Christ is king indeed. Yeah, I'm sure you got that a lot. You're way too soft on Mikey. He knew, 100% he knew. He's too timid to boast like the others. I'm not saying he didn't know. I'm saying he's different than the rest of them. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying he didn't know. I'm saying he's behaving differently. If those who should not be speaking publicly are involved, contempt of court is easier to handle than conspiracy charges. Yeah. It's time to shut up, Blake. Oh, that's a Boise Jet guy. That is a great hashtag. Let's bring it back. AK as PR head is most likely the redacted name next to Erica's in the publicity notice. By the way, best podcast ever. I don't know that. I mean, I don't think so. But thank you. I agree with the last line. All weekend internet was in and out. Southern California and a friend in Costa Rica. Internet crashed this weekend as well. There's weird coincidence that YouTube had issues too. X has had all kinds of issues. And every time they come back, their algorithm sucks. Sorry, Judge neffed up. Sorry, Judge, I neffed up. That's funny. Also off topic, my favorite Seinfeld quote, George, why would I, a Juilliard-trained dermatologist, send him to another doctor? Cosmo Kramer. Lots of good lines in Seinfeld. 30-6. I bet Jerry Douglas, the bundle of sticks twigs, knows where it came from with his 435 Tactical LLC and Firearm Store LLC. And his business partner, Jeff Twiggs from 435 Tactical is on. There's a lot there, Dom. There's a lot in that. Let me make sure I'm following it. Bundle of sticks twigs knows where it came from with his 435. Okay. Thank you. If you've not checked out I Don't Give a Dom's podcast, it's good. Late to the show, and I can't skip Ad Fleet's intro. Please don't. Please don't. Blake Neff rant, 100% clip worthy. Oh. Yeah, maybe. I went back to the beginning of the CK case this weekend, watching old shows of yours. And Candace, you look so much healthier and happier now. That's the camera. That's just a new camera. Absolutely love the new intro. Adfleet is awesome, but I dare say the theme song sounds even more groovy at 1.25x. You should check it out. It may require a grand jury vote. Thanks for all you do. I can't play it at 1.25x because then the timing will be all off. But thank you. Duly noted. The judge has had enough of this bull butter. Boise Jack guys with the punch tonight. Hi, Baron. You and Jake Shields are vibing today. We are. He interviewed Jonathan Azazaya today on Iran-Contra et al. They go deep on Middle Eastern affairs, wild stuff, Crisis King. I'll check that out. Crisis King indeed. That's interesting. I wonder if we're doing it for the same reason. Would they tell us if a TPUSA employee that there was requested and was granted an exemption to the gag order? Keep going, Max. Christ is King indeed. Yeah, I think that would be public. I can't shut my fat mouth. Great rant today. Thank you. Thank you for finally saying what I've been screaming for months. Orders matter. It's insane to me. Keep up the great work. Christ is King. Christ is King indeed. Jill, the lawyer of all trades. No Blakey boy. Gaslighting the former listeners. We all remember that the gun was recognized by the family in those first weeks. Shut the Neff up. Oh, I like that too. Shut the Neff up. Now I'm torn. I don't know if I like Boise Jet guys or Leah Diane's. They should rename Super Chats as Super Tips. That way we can't be text. Yeah, well, they'll still get text. Watched clip of older female defense attorney addressing judge. Looked tired, disheveled, hair and banana clip. Not energetic. Have to wonder if she's really capable of handling and researching details of case. She could use some CrossFit. I don't know what her schedule allows. Maybe she needs to catch a 5 a.m. class, but she could use some CrossFit. I'll say that. She could use some CrossFit and a diet of meat and vegetables, nuts and seeds, some fruit, little starch, and no sugar. It would help her disposition. I've had a Blake and Neff with all this wordplay. Just wanted to hear you read it out loud. Baron, Christ is King indeed. Say it loud. Say it proud. Blake and Neff. He sued while drunk. Yeah, maybe. Is MM an employee versus contractor, and that's why they blab. Talking about Mikey McCoy? Yeah. I don't know that the judge was intending to draw such fine distinctions when he said employee. I think we need to construe that order broadly. But I guess when you're talking about someone's First Amendment right to speak, maybe you shouldn't construe it narrowly, in which case he may need to update the order. Maybe the amazing Mikey McCoy is so quiet because he's the person they really have slated to take over for Charlie. Let's keep nose clean. Surely not. That's not going to cut it. But I like the thought. Bubba Baron watching this high IQ outfit since the Google Trends days. You've been around a long time, Sarah Lenspa. My attorney Hubs and young adult son watch with me. Welcome, family. The Lenspa family. Appreciate your legal insight, sincerity, and commitment to educate and inform. Christ is King indeed. Thank you. Thank you. I just want to tell you how I'm feeling. I got to make you understand. Never going to give you up. Never going to let you down. Never going to run around and desert you. Does that count as a Rickroll if you say never instead of never? Dark spot in history, great opening. I'll never forget my father's disappointment being a strong Christian and serving in the USA Air Force. Thank you, Baron. Christ is king. Christ is king indeed. Yeah, it's an interesting spot in history. And it's interesting that Oliver North basically made a whole career out of it. Like, that's weird to me. Made a whole career out of subverting the law and then, like, ran for Senate a couple of times. Send me to the Senate. I don't follow the law. It's a weird campaign slogan. Something weird with Laura coming hard at Candace? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I think it's telegraphing the plan. Can you imagine a worse point person to lead that attack? It almost makes people take Candace's side even if they don't like Candace. Widows and Erica Kirk, state actors, may be part of CK event. My husband was too, as well as nearly 900,000 others. Charlie Clerk went mercifully fast compared to our victims. EK insults my widow peers who raise small children with zero assistance. I don't know that I understand the first part, but I do understand the second part. And I do have a lot of sympathy for widows yet raising young children on their own. See an example when working after Olympics. So Uncle Barron's intro is absolutely fire. Brandy, Uncle Barron. Stuck in my head now, but I'm not mad about it. Brandy of Brandy and Billy, by the way. We talked about Brandy. If you weren't here, we talked about earlier that you guys may be doing separate projects now. So Brandy of Brandy, ladies and gentlemen. And she does. They call me Uncle Barron because I'm old and I have a gray beard. And I'll allow it because they're nice. Donna and Harvey are from Suits. Are those commenters playing a game in the chat? I don't know. Great show as usual. Got to say, I'm glad TP can't keep their mouths shut. They keep tripping up, inadvertently helping the good guys and truth tellers build their case. Owens Coleman 2028. Christ is king. I just want to be the Secretary of State. I'll be vice president if I have to be, but I just want to be the Secretary of State. Or nothing, really. Been late 2 nights in a row, but had to listen to the intro song both nights. Adfleet did it again. Oops, she did it again. She made a fire song. I don't know the next words. Congrats on 100 plus shows. You deserve everything you've gotten and more. That's very kind of you. Very kind. Thank you. Thank you. Johnson had a mistrial in 2024 and a new trial scheduled 11 of 2026. Duly noted. Thank you, Julie. It's absolutely un-American to condemn a person to death penalty or innocent without a fair trial. I'm not from U.S., but I believe this justice system, although not perfect, is the best I've seen. Yeah, it's kind of like Ben Franklin describing what the United States got after the Constitution when he came out, and they said, well, what kind of government are you going to have? And he said, a republic if you can keep it. And then they said the Republican form of government, constitutional republic, is the worst form of government, but for all the others. And I kind of feel that way about our jury system. It's the worst way to convict somebody, but for all the others. Jackie Childs is based on Lionel. Same wordplay. No. Jackie Childs is based on Johnny Cochran. Johnny Cochran. Can sanctions become criminal charges? Yes, but not initially. I mean, I suppose if you continued violating them, the judge would eventually raise it to contempt. But I don't think that would be a necessary step. In the U.S., the guilty have just as much a chance of being found innocent as the innocent found guilty. Oh, that's not true at all. That's not true at all. A lot of innocent people in prison. I believe that. A lot of guilty people too, but a lot of innocent people too. Twigs needs a deep dive. Agreed. You should check out I Don't Give a Dom. She's done a few deep dives on the Twigs family. Very good ones. But we'll dedicate some time here as well. The very fact that they can't shut up tells me everything about them. To look at this and think he supposedly did this alone, if at all, is beyond comprehension. The fact they don't want to find what really happened is beyond belief. Yeah, and it's what makes me so suspect with their constant insistence he did it. There's just no way. There's no way he did it alone. There's no way he found out Charlie Kirk was coming to UVU. Found out only days before specifically where the event was going to take place at UVU. Somehow found the perfect line of sight, engraved bullets, zeroed in the rifle from the right distance. No. And then took a shot with a 30-06 that did that. No. That's, again, I go back. Could I be convinced Tyler Robinson did it? Yeah, but I mean, it's such a heavy burden at this point. Blake looks the type to steal candies from kids. I guess it's better than being offering candy to kids. I mean, kind of kids, free candy? A steal. We'll go with steal. Did you see Project Constitution Live today when Stephen B. Noon had a contact that Candace has a Mossad agent on her personal security and Stephen is worried about her being taken out? No, and I don't believe that. Christ is king indeed. Prayers for all. That sounds so far-flung. That sounds so far-flung. YouTube hates me. Where did my go? I was bragging about my celebrity status. My $20 super was read on Candace's show today. Always be true. I don't know where your $20 super. You sure it went through? I haven't seen it. I don't think I've skipped any. Yeah, and Curious Joel, one of our mods, was on Candace today. One of his comments got read as well. We're famous, guys. We've hit the big time. Commenters, moderators, all featured by the Queen. Worried about different strategies. Brandy Siciliani, how do you pronounce her last name? Siciliani says they're not saying he's not guilty, just saying he's guilty but was influenced by others on her show. I mean, she's free to say whatever she wants. I don't know. I'm not saying he's innocent. I don't know. I don't know why he was there. I've not seen evidence to suggest that he did it. But I don't know why he was there, and I don't know why his gun was there. I'm eager to learn more. Thoughts on TR fam getting wrecked by press? Press is king. Oh, recorded by the press. So the way Candace described it, I don't know that the press is the one that did the recording. So this is a good question, a great question. Christ is king indeed. It's a great question. The way she presented it was that someone near the discussion may have been lurking and recording. Is kind of what she said. And I don't know the truth. I don't know, what actually happened. I'm going by what she said. So in that situation, the press somewhat is absolved, I think, assuming that's right. That looked like the perfect coffee mug, Baron. I don't see it in the merch store. Oh, it's there. And it is the perfect mug. I'll show you precisely where. So if you go to realbaronpodcast.com, we'll open it together. Should be there. It's our best-selling item. This is your humble host here, Baron Coleman. Go down to merch. View all. There it is. White glossy mug. These mid-weight hoodies are great, by the way. These mid-weight hoodies are great. And the long sleeve tee is very comfortable. I don't have all the merch. But I do have the mugs. Melting ice doesn't overflow a cup. Why would it overflow oceans? Bring on the discovery. Christ is king indeed. Let's melt Antarctica, baby. Who's got a lighter? I need blow torches, hair dryers. What do you got? What are some of them other things we got? Chisels, ice picks. Let's get down there and let's figure out what's at the bottom of Antarctica. I think the argument is that the polar ice cap is actually sitting on land and it would flow into the oceans, but that's a risk I'm willing to take. It's a risk I'm willing to take. I got to know what's under there. Do we have pyramids? I bet we do. Is there like a whole Göbekli Tepe? Is there a sphinx? Might be a sphinx. I want to know. Show me Antarctica. Let's melt it. Let's get going, guys. We don't have much time. I'm more anxious for TR every day. I know that I shouldn't worry, but I fear for that boy, low IQ as he may be. He didn't do this. He needs witness protection. Edge, I too share your nervousness. Google UFO over Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. My business, Rainbow Lakes, sits next to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Fishermen caught video of possible UFO. I saw one this year too. Sightings seem to be increasing around here. USAF General AF Research Lab tied to UFO research among missing. The missing scientist is freaking me out, by the way. Particularly the woman who sent text messages to somebody saying that she can pinpoint the exact time when the death threats kicked up to her. And she said, I am not suicidal. If anything happens to me, investigate it. It wasn't me. I didn't do it. And then she killed herself, allegedly. Not right, guys. What did the allegedly Tyler Robinson leave in the gutter before jumping off the Losi? I'm glad you saw that. I thought it was a figment of my imagination. Maybe we'll look at that. Well, not tomorrow because I'm not on. Maybe we'll look at that Wednesday. If you watch the video that the FBI released of the alleged person that they're saying is Tyler Robinson running across the roof before he Spider-Mans down the building and hangs with one hand, just his fingertips. Does Tyler look like someone that can do that? It looks to me like he drops something in the gutter and then Spider-Man's down. That's what it looks like to me. I saw that. And I've thought about bringing it up, but I thought, do people want to watch that video again? But I think we're going to need to after you mentioned it, because I have been having the same thoughts. I've watched that video 100 times trying to figure out, am I just seeing stuff? Why is no one mentioning this? Love the show, sir. FYI, Sheriff Big John case is scheduled to restart in November. Hung jury first go round. Yeah, so if you're from the Gump town, that's what they call Montgomery, the Gump. You are familiar with the case I was talking about that has not yet reached conclusion. The sheriff was a very beloved local, basically a celebrity. His name was Big John. And an 18-year-old kid shot him, allegedly. I'm not sure what the nature of the hung jury was. I have to look that up. I haven't looked at that case in a while. But yeah, the kid's still in pretrial holding. So these things don't move. When was the Sheriff Big John case shot? When was he shot? That took place in 2019. November 23rd, 2019. A long time ago. So all these people thinking the trial's going to start any day now, and Tyler Robinson, bad news for you. It's a death penalty case. But Baron is my first ever super chat, sending big love from OKC. Christ is King indeed. Thank you, Delaney. Thank you. Happy 100th, 101st episode. Last night's episode was all trouble. I was watching live, but the YouTube commercials were literally every 4 minutes. I timed them. Never been that way before. Love you, mean it. Christ is King. Christ is King indeed. I used to have a business partner and then a radio host who always used to say, love you, mean it, to everyone. Every time he left, somebody say, love you, mean it. And then he'd say, I love your hair. I hope you win, when he'd see a woman. I guess because he thought they were all dolled up. He's dead now. I didn't do it. He had a stroke. But he passed away. Not to be morbid, but he passed away. Coach Colin is literally your Padawan. I think I would have to know more about Star Wars to know if that's an insult to him, me, or both of us, or if it's a compliment. I don't know. Baron, I stand corrected. New Jersey has Wickles Pickles. Thank you. I would never live in a state that doesn't have Wickles Pickles. If you weren't here last night, we covered this. I would never live in a state without Wickles Pickles. It's the greatest pickle ever made. And it's not even close. Frickin' Frack, Blake and AK are deplorables. Very sad to witness what has happened to CK's legacy. Poor Charlie. Yeah, they've ruined his legacy. I have bad news for him. Baron, love the show. Jennifer and I watch every show. Hunted most of my life with my dad's 30-06 and taken down many deer and elk with the gun. Christ is King indeed. I'm assuming you're saying that because you don't think the wound is consistent with the 30-06. Hey, Baron, congrats on the 100th show. Intro's brilliant. We could use some prayers if you're willing, going through a rough time, but God always does get us through. That's a great attitude. That's a great attitude. I will pray for you, Mr. I Want a Life 42. Is that what you're praying? Is that what we're praying for? You want a life? I'll pray for you. I'm an RN. You're saying buccal correctly. I'm glad there are people out there who see the truth. I was getting gaslit, I'm pretty sure. Will the non-compliance affect an appeal? How soon after the text? No, it will not. How soon after the text message? Well, not at this stage. How soon will the text messages released to the public? How soon after the text messages were released to the public was the search warrant issued? Writing style differ. I'd have to go back and look at the exact timing. I want to say that the text messages were released before the search warrants, but I don't know. I don't want to be on the record saying that. Government is controlling weather in the U.S. Colorado's in a drought, one of the worst snowfall in history. How are you in a drought if you had a good snowfall? Isn't that the opposite of a drought? Isn't snowfall just another form of precipitation? Thank you for all you do. You, Candace, and Zach are my for sure every day, among others. Well, I'll be on with Zach tomorrow at 1 or 1:30 Central Time, so I hope you'll tune in. I feel like a paranoid, narcissistic, redheaded stepchild named Joe. Well, as a redheaded stepchild, I take umbrage with that, but the freeze happened after asking an apparently answered. The freeze happened after an apparently asked and answered counselor. Christ is King. Oh. Yeah, you are paranoid. I don't think that had anything to do with it, but maybe. Might solve a mystery or rewrite history. DuckTales. Woo. That song slaps. Man, I missed that show. That was a great show. Great part of my childhood. Can Blake say he's a CK show employee, not TPUSA, thus not violating judge's orders? Again, I wouldn't want to be making that argument, but maybe he could. Mikey McCoy is trying to get on the next spaceship to Mars. I don't think there's been any spaceship to Mars, is there? Not with humans. There wasn't even one around the moon here recently. We discovered that was Fake Friday. We covered that. It's decidedly fake. To get as far away as he can from this, Mikey McCoy knew this was going to happen to CK, in my opinion. I'm not saying he didn't know it was going to happen. I'm just saying he seems to be acting differently than everyone else. Absolutely amazing content, especially your openings. I never miss a live. I'm retired. Congratulations. If it was up to Ben Shapiro, you'd be working until your fingers fell off. Christ is King indeed. Remember he said people shouldn't retire? Just common sensing it. Helga, if you're listening, just wanted you to know I'm still praying for you. I actually prayed for you this morning, Helga. I hope you're hanging in there. Thank you. Looking for a single male in a smart, high IQ outfit in my mid-30s. I want someone emotionally stable who listens to RBP, but you repeat yourself. We only have emotionally stable people listening. And I was just confirmed in March, help a single lady out, please, Baron. My friends, we've got another one on the hook. Remy Kirtley. Now, I got to be careful because what if you guys hook up with psychos? Then you blame me. She's looking for emotionally stable guys. So if you're not emotionally stable, do not apply. But that's her YouTube username. If Tyler goes free, how would the search for the killer continue based on their FBI, police, TPUSA behavior until now? How do you see them going about finding the killer, examining evidence? I mean, I guess you just start over. I don't know. Haven't the courts already lost credibility? Some have. Great show. This is why I tune in. Love the intensity. Hush up, Blake. Indeed. Hush. Shh. Remind me, isn't BN the one fired from Tucker's show at one point? Yeah. You're talking about Charles the 12th? Blakey? I thought nonprofits had to refrain from politics, but all Erica talks about is partisan politics and voter turnout. Please explain the law. I don't get it. Oh, she's just in direct violation of it. That's all. That's all. Your intro song is so catchy. I've tuned on your show a few times just to listen to the intro. Appreciate you, Baron. I appreciate you. Thank you for listening. Amir, thank you. I grew up in a very, very conservative Native family. Thanks to you and Candace, I've learned to form my own independent opinions. Thank you, Jesse. I appreciate that. That's high praise. I'm thinking, I just want people to think. EK stage entrance might as well have been Horns of Plenty from Hunger Games. IMO. Feels fitting. Christ is King indeed, Stacy. I don't know that because I don't know that I've seen the Hunger Games, but I'm sure it's amazing. Protocol victims will never see justice, Erica. Just saying. Now, that's true. The protocol murdered a lot of people. Talking about the COVID protocol? Yeah. Those people will never be held accountable. I cannot tell you how many people I've talked to personally that said they lost all faith in the medical system after that. What a tragedy. What a tragedy. I cannot look out my windows at night after watching Exorcism of Emily Rose. Scary movies don't bother me, but that one had me shooketh. I will never watch that. Never. If it had you shooketh, I will never watch it. I hate scary movies. Hate them. I don't want to feel like that. Dude, watch The Night Manager. So underrated. Is it scary? It sounds scary. Night Manager? Scary things happen at night. Hugh Laurie actually also sings amazing. Look it up. He's a man of many talents. He had me fooled on that American accent, I'll be honest. Edge. I felt that way about Beth Dutton from Yellowstone. Her accent messed with me too. I've never seen Yellowstone, so I don't know. Gifted 5 Mimbos. Thank you. Gainer. Would love to see you get Stephen Burns on a member show. I would love to have Stephen Burns on a member show. That would be a huge get. He's massive. One thing I know for sure is at all costs, avoid any Saudi royal family reunion. I think attempted coup fits can get why to cover up. Still no excuse. Yeah, I agree with 100% with everything you just said, particularly the first part. The fact that the humble host knows where Shreveport is and says it correctly is amazing. Sadly, we are known as the Ratchet City. Yeah, but you got a cool mayor. Yes, please pray for our community and breaks our hearts. Christ is King, heals all. How do other people pronounce Shreveport? I mean, it's right there. It's like right in the word, Shreveport. My ex-husband taught me during our divorce that disregarding court orders holds no consequence, unfortunately. Thank you for all your hard work. I tune in daily when I'm procrastinating during my nursing school homework. Well, that's not procrastinating. You're getting educated, just a different variety of education. I think you're probably more educated, as a matter of fact. Don't tell your nursing professors that. Christ is King indeed. I'm sorry to hear about your terrible experience with the court system. Thank you. 33 could have been a signal the doo-doo went sideways. I don't know about that. It seems more like the doo-doo went correctly. Buried my husband at Arlington on the 17th. Even after 10 years of separation, I stayed in bed for months after his passing. EK is not mourning normally. I don't care what anyone says. We also have 2 kids. Something isn't right. I'm telling you right now, the hardest people in the world on that woman are widows. The second hardest people are people that lost a child or a sibling or someone close to them at a young age. No one gets it. I've never heard. This is a comment I've never heard from anyone. Oh, I'm a widow. That seems perfectly normal to me. I've never heard that. And you haven't either. Thank you. You should watch dirt late model racing instead. I've been to a dirt late model race. Bree mode. Wait a minute. Do I know you? Are you into drag racing too? To MS's comment, there was a lot of red maroon. Yeah, there was. I just don't know. I don't have the military expertise to know if that's something they do. Like have a color of the day and everybody. I don't know. I mean, maybe they do. Maybe they do. Sitting in Instacare with sick daughter, wearing my RBP shirt and got a compliment on my shirt. You are huge in Provo, Utah. Oh no, don't tell people that. You can't. We're tainting the jury pool. We're tainting the jury pool. Just kidding, by the way. Thank you for all the support last night. I'm digging deep and staying sober. Christ is King. Helga, Shaba, Laba, Ding Dong. Please stay sober, Helga. Helga, we were praying for you. We're continuing to pray for you, and hang in there. Hang in there. Huge in Provo. Next, prayers for my cat, Shadow. Deeply appreciated. He hurt his paw. Is Shadow a black cat by chance? Because that would be a cool name for a black cat. Hurt his paw and potentially needs it amputated unless it heals. God's signature is found even in pain. The poem I wrote yesterday had his name twice. True sacred reminder. Well, I hope little Shadow gets better. I don't know. That'd be a cool name for a black cat. Shadow. You know, they look like a shadow, you know. I'm worried about wrongful conviction, especially after a wrongful conviction podcast shows broken court system. Do you think there's a chance he could be wrongfully convicted? Thank you for everything you do. I think anybody charged with a crime could be wrongfully convicted. I mean, that is not a place you want to be. Innocent or guilty, you do not want to be in front of a jury. Princess Di unaliving connection to Khashoggi? Is there a Khashoggi connection to Princess Diana? I don't know that I've heard that. Princess Diana. I don't know how to spell Khashoggi. I'm just guessing over here. Oh my goodness. Dodi Fayed was Jamal Khashoggi's cousin? Both are nephews of Adnan Khashoggi? I feel a little bit like Gary right now. I had no idea. Well, I got to do an opening on that soon. Gaslighting message gutted me. Lived it 4 years, married 20 years to a man I trusted with my life, 5 kids. Then he'd learned. Ooh, I don't even want to read that out loud. Fractured my reality. Christ is king indeed. Wow. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry you went through that. Oh, man, that's tough. Thank you for sharing that. Do you think CK could be one of the 2 witnesses? Christ is king. I think there's a 0% chance Charlie Kirk is a witness. A 0% chance Charlie Kirk. Congrats on the 100th episode. I've been here since Charlie left us. I sincerely love all your opening statements. Absolutely love the perfect size mug. Just got my high IQ t-shirt today. Absolutely appreciate all your hard work you put into each and every show. God bless you. Such a good mug. It's a great mug. Holds a fair bit of liquid, if I do say so myself. A big old 15-ouncer. It's almost a pint. Thank you for that very generous contribution. Granny Manny cried and grieved longer over dogs than EK did CK. I guess I can add pet parents to those that are unwilling to forgive her. Adfleet suggestion a 30-second outro, where Baron reminds us to click like, comment, and says Jesus loves you. Yeah, maybe. Baron, glad to be back. Missed 3 nights, had unexpected ambulance ride. 2-day hospital stay with transient global amnesia. I don't even know what that is, but it sounds terrible. Asking for prayers. I travel across USA for 6 weeks. I'll be near you June 3 through 8. Rory Feek Homestead Festival. Christ is King. What is that? Rory Feek Homestead Festival. Where is that? Oh, it's in Columbia, Tennessee. Yeah, it won't be too far at all. Hold on, I got to look up something. That sounded close. Yeah, it was very close. I don't like hearing helicopters overhead, guys. That's too close for comfort. I don't know what transient global amnesia is. It's transient sounds like it comes and goes. Global sounds like it's all of it. And amnesia sounds like you forget stuff. Did I get that right? That sounds terrifying. I hope you get better. And When is the festival? June 5 and 6? Maybe I'll drive down there for the day. Sounds like fun. What kind of stuff do they do? Music? Who sings at the Homestead Festival? Oh, I gotta. Sounds like country music, maybe. I don't know who those people are. My son died in 2023, wife in 2024, best friend in 2025. Had to be the one to turn my wife and boyfriend isolated for 6 months after my wife. EK gives grieving a bad name. I cannot imagine the tragedy you felt. That is just a devastating back-to-back-to-back blow. And I'm sorry you went through that. I'm sorry you went through that. But again, people that lost people close to them, they do not forgive. They're not buying her. You sure like Blake a lot, Baron. Steve Bannon also believes he and others could face prison time if Republicans lose the 2026 midterms. Also, didn't Charlie's text the night before say they? Lone Wolf Tyler Robinson doesn't fit Charlie's thoughts. Agreed. Why does prosecution want cameras for the trial when the defense is fighting against this? They are rejecting your bombshell evidence. That's a long answer, I think. I think that's a long answer. I don't believe it's because the defense is trying to hide stuff. I don't construe that as they're in on it. Maybe at one time I did, but I don't anymore. The getaway car, indeed. Getaway with literal body of evidence. Oh, that's a good point. Now you can say getaway car. Who can inform the judge the order is being broken? In Canada, law is different here. Love your show. Christ is king. Christ is king indeed. I would think it'd have to be the defense attorneys. Can TR sue those violating the gag order for defamation if not found guilty? Yes. And he should. Baron, great host, sincere, and hilarious. God bless. Those are very high compliments. Thank you. Do you think Tyler knows he was used? Oh, yeah. By this point, sure. Assuming I'm right, yeah. Earlier, super expansion. In the Old Testament, Israel equals chosen people, the descendants of Jacob, renamed Israel by God. New Testament, Israel equals those that accept Jesus as the sacrifice for their sins. Yes. I agree with that. Bixby's allegations, same usual theme, i.e. Matt Gaetz. Yeah, maybe. Coming in late and coming in hot. Mail lady, mama. What question was being asked, answered when the glitch attack happened? Any relevance? Sorry if already asked, answered. I don't remember. We need a shut your fat mouth shirt now. That might get people in trouble, though, you know? You wear that in the wrong crowd and someone say, my fat mouth? Yeah, I don't want to get anyone hurt. Does attorney aesthetics influence juries? Yes, unfortunately. Yeah. Yeah, especially if they look not confident in their position. At the end of hearing, lady lawyer says it's okay to Tyler Robinson. I didn't catch that. Your openings are sounding more and more like Paul Harvey's The Rest of the Story. Great stuff. That is incredibly high praise. Paul Harvey's absolute champion of radio. Was in Honduras supporting Contra, September 86 to February 87. We were heavily involved when aircraft crashed. We went on alert. Never told the truth why we were there till after we followed orders. Thank you. That's an interesting story. That is a touch with history right there, and a relevant touch to the opening statement. Wow. Blake Neff's speed is nearing Larry Loomer level of derangement in my book. Blake seems desperate. Just went back to listen to the intro. Catchy and bouncy. Lovely work, Fleet and Co. Agreed. Baron, look up who decided to name the country Israel. There was a vote, but look into who proposed it and its beliefs. Jacob was renamed Israel by the father. It caused confusion on who his chosen people are since 1948. Yeah, I was going to do an opening on that one day, and I decided against it. I have it written. I could do it one day. About the whole process of how they ended up with the name and all the discussions that went into it and all the different names and what the reasons were. It's pretty fascinating. Fun story. I had my RBP shirt on when Sherry noticed it and called me out at a rest stop in West Texas on my way to New Braunfels. We were instant friends. You built a fantastic community. If you need help in New Braunfels, Texas, I'm there. Kathy, thank you. That's an excellent story. See, we're making friends all over the country. That's what a great community. I met Kash after Olympics chugging while work. I don't know what that means. TJ, thank you. 10 memberships. Wow, thank you. Janet, thank you. As bad as EL is now, can you imagine gone if she was elected to office? I'm assuming the L next to the K, you mean EK. Yeah, I can't imagine what she'd be like. Queen Nefertiti. That may be more accurate than you think. First ever super chat. Did you catch Tucker's show today with his brother? I caught a piece of it, yeah. It's exactly how I feel. Thank you, B, for always being honest and informative. Been here since Google searches. I'm here to stay. Christ is king indeed. I like Tucker's brother. I follow him on X. He's a good guy. I like him. Buckley. What a name. Buckley. I like that guy. Christ is king indeed. Can't stop bebopping to your new bebop. Christ is king indeed. Thank you. I tried doing my $100 donation yesterday for your 100th episode. Then it went dark. So I did it today. Thank you, Granny Manny. That really means a lot to me. Thank you. Especially now that you said that. Your monolithic tones through my 5.1 surround are indistinguishable from general anesthesia. Hope last night's supper was suitably worthy of your greatness. StreamYard, get DDoS. Christ is king indeed. That was my understanding after reaching out to him, that there might have been a DDoS type attack. But don't know. That's just the way I interpreted the message. Dodi Al-Fayed, Princess Diane's beau, lost life with Diana. He is Jamal Khashoggi's cousin, Adnan's nephew. Britain ties, wreck in France. Interestingly, oh, that's right. It was in Paris. Good catch. Yeah, and TR was in DC and Philly, Google searching the key locations the week of his planning. I dig the intro, second biggest Alaska Baron fan. At least you recognize who the biggest Alaska fan is, the number one Alaska fan. But I'll allow you to be second, Julie. I'll allow it. We'll have seconds here. Thanks, Baron. I will get all three. Christ is king. Oh, thank you. That'd be amazing. EK and TPUSA hasn't even mentioned if anyone else was involved. They don't care. When there was a decoy guy and people posted that day before, very telling. Ice Age movie, an entire dino civilization lurks. I just want to see the pyramids. I want to see the buildings. I want to see the humanity down there. I don't think it's Ice Age. I think it's more recent than that. And I think it'll prove it. Can you imagine if they melted Antarctica and there's like people frozen there and like, hey, they wouldn't be talking, I guess. They'd be dead, but it'd be like Pompeii, but in ice. Amazing. Except they'd actually be bodies because in Pompeii they disappeared. But there they'd be like still frozen, you know? Baron, there are several in the chat that are extremely concerned about what they saw in the chat at the end of CO's live today. They're not able to send a super, but they have screenshots. Tell me about it. I don't know what you're talking about. What did you see? I don't know anything about what happened at the end of her live. What they saw in the chat. If you watch the video of the guy jumping from the building, you can see someone walking in the background, but he disappears just as the guy jumps. He doesn't disappear. So I've looked at that on a satellite. What happens is the path turns. So the path goes this way, and there's two trees in the way, and then the path turns. He doesn't disappear. He just follows the path. And so he goes behind the tree. I've looked into that. I thought that same thing at first. TR Grandpa can prove with pics what gun can do. 1 to 10, how confident are you? Artemis 2 is mostly fake. I'm a 10, confident it was entirely fake. 0 part of me believes that was real. Not one piece. It is the fakest and gayest thing I've seen NASA do in decades. So fake, so gay. My beautiful wife, R.I.P., loved Wickles. Oh, Chris. You sound like, she sounds like an amazing person. I'm sorry you lost her. How do we know this granddad gave TR the gun? Paternal or maternal grandfather? CO mentioned this granddad should know the weapon. I think that's been the story from the beginning. It was his grandfather's rifle. that was given to him. It's a paternal grandfather, I'm almost confident. Yeah. The of you all, when all else fails, read the directions. Hold, please. Bought the lot. Is this thing on? Check. Testing. I don't know what that means. I always thought limper was whoever jumped off the roof. That would have obliterated my ankles. LOL. Was limping video before or after roof jump? TR, have any injuries when detained? I don't know about injuries when detained. I'm pretty confident the video limping was before. It was walking towards campus. And the shadows seemed to line up with the right time. Could be before. Do yourself a favor, search DuckTales church dance. I'm kind of scared, honestly, to do that. I don't know what that means, and I don't want to know what it means. We don't dance at our church. DuckTales church dance. Sounds weird. Legally, could TR's lawyers make a case they never investigated anyone else, especially her? They absolutely will make that case in closing. They keyed in on this guy. They did it, and he just wasn't the guy. Yeah, that'll be a part of the closing, almost assuredly. And they might even ask some of the people, who else did you investigate? Officer Smith. Well, we didn't. Oh, you didn't investigate. You investigated no one else. Yeah. I think that's coming. Regarding scientists, what's coming? Are they rounding up the scientists already and sticking them in Cheyenne or other bunkers? Not for us, possible. Ugh. So here, I don't want to do too much. No, I don't think. I think the answer to that's no. I'll do an opening on that. I'll do an opening on the scientists because it's a matter of public concern, and I have strong opinions on it. But I don't think they're rounding them up and saving them for a later date. Baron, even low IQ love you. I speak from experience. That's not true, Sean Doberman. You're the man. I'm still going to stress about the imprints on the roof. Low-C stone doesn't leave distinct imprints. I don't know much about it. I don't know. Is there sand up there? I don't know. 6 months of complete isolation after my wife died. You're a huge fan in Arizona, too. That sounds just devastating. I can't even imagine. 3.5 years since my husband went into the presence of Jesus. Miss him every day. Kirk does not mourn. I'm telling you guys, people who have lost a spouse are not buying it. The only people that buy it from her are people who haven't been there. No, I've not heard a single person say, oh, I lost a spouse. I was just the same way. I bounced right back. I was laughing on phone calls 5 days later. I was laughing about thumb up emojis on Zoom calls 5 days later, no doubt. I don't know anyone. I've not heard it yet. Perfect present for perfect host, P.O. Box. Sure, I got one right here. Right there. Write it down quick. Write it down quick. It only lasts 10 seconds. It'll go away. It'll go away. And there it goes. Blinking Baron. Yeah, I felt like it. Had no idea. You're welcome. Thank you. You're welcome. I lost my husband very unexpectedly. I feel justified thinking Erica's the worst. I reached out to my husband's first wife after Charlie died, and we become very close, both never missing your show since Google Trends. Wow. Wow. I will say this, my current wife, my only wife, when I was in college, my high school girlfriend of like 2.5 years went to the same college. And wouldn't you know, my wife became friends with her. We weren't married at the time. We were just dating. But they like went to dinner and stuff. And I was like, y'all knock that off. Stop it. Yeah, it was a weird couple weeks when that happened. I'm sorry for your loss, by the way. Hey, Baron, is it just me? All I could think of during Erica's entrance the other night was Wizard of Oz, March of the Rinkies. Villains sing ooh-ee-ya, ooh-ah chant. I just could not get through that speech. So I went back and looked it up. Because I only listened to it a couple of times. I listened to it once to get ready for the show, and then I listened to like 4 seconds of it. I'm pretty sure that song opened to an augmented fourth. Someone more musically inclined. I'm an amateur music guy. Someone smarter than me, go back and listen to it. I thought initially it was E to F sharp. I don't think it is. I think it's a full augmented fourth. That's a weird thing to walk out to. That's like the sound they use to create tension in horror movies. I could be wrong. Someone's way smarter than I am. Goes, that's not an augmented fourth. It sounded like it. Sounded like it. I kept going back and listening and listening and listening. I was like, why does that sound so awful? I was like, surely not. And I think it was. For correction, had to turn wife and best friend life support off. Oh. Now I get it. That is horrific. I can't imagine making that call. And I'm sorry you had to. What other characters in the story have a limp? Or after jump from the building, if TR doesn't have a limp, then can't have been him, right? Well, they're claiming the limp was because he had a gun shoved down his pants, but they're skinny jeans. I mean, where's the gun? Nonsense. Tyler's dad, Matt, is a 27-year veteran of Washington County. I don't believe that's true. I know that's not true. I didn't know that weird. Thank you for a great show. No, I don't believe that's accurate. I don't believe that's accurate at all. 33 hours, not correct time of arrest of Tyler. Maybe a bang out with a fold AR was planned and it was warning to stand down. Just thinking, all this is very weird. Just saying. I do agree that's not the correct time of the arrest. I don't know about a bang out. I mean, I know that the fold AR guy was beefing with Victor Marks. Bayron, two-gun theory, 30-06 hid in the woods before the shot as evidence, folding AK hidden in pants, leg, or backpack, and used to take the shot. Christ is king. Christ is king indeed. See, here's the problem I have with that. I even think that would create more of a wound. I mean, if you're saying it's an AR, a 5.56 comes in very hot. I just can't imagine it staying in the neck. But I think it would have a better chance than a 30-06, honestly. Remember Art Bell? Any stories, inspiration of him? I do remember Art Bell. I used to listen to Art Bell when I was up late. I don't know about stories or inspiration. Do you remember? I know one. Do you remember the guy who called in? He was like totally panicked. It was a national story. But he called in. He was like totally panicked. And I think, if I remember the story correctly, he might have even hung up in the middle of the phone call. I don't even remember what he was going on about. I just remember that happening. I mean, I listened to all the late night people. I used to listen to Jimbo Hannon. You remember him? He had kind of a later show. I actually called into Jimbo Hannon and got on the air one time. I was driving, I think, to Tennessee, actually. Yeah. Does Blake Neff, TPUSA, comfort with discussing evidence under the sun suggest they felt the fix was in? Apologies have already answered. Christ is king. It tells me they're desperate to get this story to stick. It's not gaining the ground they assumed it would. Sign above Jesus said, Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews. Christ is king. Not Christ. Yeah, I mean, but the same thing. Christ is king. Christ is King of the Jews. We're just shortening it. We're squishing it. Squish. We have long sentence. We squish to short sentence. Christ is king. That's it. Hello from Bali, Indonesia. Oh, Bali, huh? You know who's been to Bali, don't you? Recently. Might cover that on an upcoming show. If Tyler's found guilty, would all the evidence Candace and others have found be grounds for appeal? No. There's no evidence that can be appealed other than newly discovered evidence, I guess. But that there's very limited circumstances where newly discovered evidence can come in, and evidence that's presented at trial. So that's not how appeals work. Not here in America. I don't know about Indonesia. Yeah, there's a tie to this case from Bali, Indonesia. Would you believe it? We'll get to it. End of Candace. Someone posted her address. Are you serious? That is out of bounds. That is out of bounds. Yeah, same. I just heard that. That is total. I hope that person's banned for life. That's out of bounds. We've accidentally shown addresses, but never on purpose. It's always been like, if you file a business doc, and I'm not sure I mean, and you list an address, I assume it's a business address for a business. And then we put it up and they'd say, hey, no, that's a personal address. Okay, we edit it out. But personal, like, that's out of bounds. I know you are awake about Hunter. This is Baron 101, a high IQ outfit. Almost died laughing when you said you can fit 4 fingers in this bad boy. You can. Nothing gets past you. B. Don't get a mini split for the studio. They're basically glorified window units, more pain than worth at $3,000 to $5,000. HVC I work for won't even work on them if we didn't install. Price is king indeed. I'm not getting a mini split. I don't have anywhere to put it. I have to drill through brick. I'm not doing that. I just get hot in the summer, cold in the winter. I mean, it's just part of being here. I got a fan on the camera so it doesn't overheat. You can't hear it, can you? Yo, Baron, any previous nationwide cases where defendant was let off during prelim because of lacking evidence? Probably. Let me look real quick. Hold on, I'm coming. Here we go. Thinking. Come on, I'll come back to it when it comes back. Trust me, I'll come back to you when it's done thinking. Thank you, Mercedes. 3-month dad intro equals best. Oh, we already did that one. Am I back up to the top somehow? 1 hour loop, please. Lost so many people, it's intolerable. Also, Erica, uninterested in trying to find out facts is as bad as the lack of grief. Full stop. I would think if I am in the TPUSA people or Erica or Charlie, not Charlie, Erica, Blake, Mikey, Frank Turek, Andrew Colvett, I would say ransack every available lead, run down everything. If this guy had a single accomplice, if he whispered a single thing to a single person, we want to know. We will stop at nothing to get complete, total, and utter justice for Charlie Kirk under any circumstances. I don't care how long it takes. Back to our friend who asked about preliminary hearings. Kyle Zellner, Humboldt County, California. Brian Reiser, Dallas, Texas. Mark Dial, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It's rare. It's rare. But I guess those are notable cases. But yeah, it happens. Not often. Check with Trigger. There was a ledge he stood on just under where he went over the edge. Yeah, there was. But if you watch, his feet drop off that ledge and he's still holding on. There's a point at which his entire body weight is being held by these 4 fingertips. I challenge you. Try it. DuckTales church dance, totally clean and hilarious. I believe you. It just sounds suspicious. Do you think Tyler Robinson grandpa can prove the gun would have blown his head off? I don't think they would let him testify to that, if that's what you're asking. Rubber roofs use loose stone for draining purposes. Distinct imprints will not be left. That's not what I was told in the probable cause affidavit. Why files covered that Art Bell story? Oh, good. But he always craps on every theory. I was kind of hoping there was something to it. If Y Files covered something, I'm like, oh, great. He's going to disprove it. I like that show, though. Student Visas by Corb Lund. In relation to your opening statement, give it a listen. Okay. Baron, check out these coordinates. If you're interested in what's under the snow, see what's on top. Face, Google Earth. As always, love your show and the super crew. I'm interested. Let me take a picture of that so I can come back to it in a minute. I'll come back to it after the show. Because there's no way I'm going to type that out while we're all sitting here waiting. If TR gets J.E'd, will your investigation and all stop looked into, especially with TPUSA being part of it and Dan Flood doing hand movements? No, I mean, my investigation won't stop, but I'll admit it will be difficult because their investigation will stop. I'm pretty confident. Dank's latest post on the defense team is very telling. My gut and research may be right again. Go read it. Christ is king. Thank you. I'm new to Super Chats. I was saying earlier they will probably try and put Victor Marks on as their expert gun witness. No, he would not. He would. I don't think they could get him in. Jitterbug is right. Lost my little sis in 2009 to H1N1. The COVID of the time. Could barely get out of bed for an entire year. Sorry for your loss. H1N1. That was the bird flu year, wasn't it? Did Tyler Boyer disappear? No, unfortunately not. I see him pop up on Twitter. He was on there today, I think, or yesterday. EK's walkout song was Game Time by Beats Match. It's described as aggressive, motivational energy, the kind people describe as gym rage. Game Time by Beats Match. Hold on. I gotta check something real quick. I gotta check something. Hold, please. An orchestral trap, cinematic trap track, written in D major. Heavy beats, drops, timpani-like percussion, dramatic builds, more focused on epic, aggressive energy than specific dissonant intervals in the main melody or hook. Okay. That's an interesting choice. I don't know that I want to be aggressive. Did you catch when JD Vance was inconsistent with his verb tense about JE at the end of Q&A at GSU? Said JE hates GJT, not hated. Tense moment. I didn't catch that. From our grumblers, I wonder if TR's grandpappy took his 30-06 hunting and has pictures of the deer, turkey, hog, etc. of what it did to the animal, firsthand experience with the damage. Well, that would be round dependent more than rifle dependent. Serious, wouldn't you hit them with violations ASAP? Prosecution withholding evidence from defense. Doesn't this make judge look like a joke in front of his judge friends at the judge playground? M. Weedman, that was hilarious. Is there I pictured a bunch of little kid judges in little kid robes climbing on the monkey bars, sliding down the slides. The judge playground. That's fantastic. That's great. Jojo, but Baron, I suggest a few merch ideas on your Insta. Please, let's get working on the Grumblers merch. Your Grumblers are eagerly awaiting our merch. We are excellent, as you know. Yes, Grumbler merch in the works. No doubt about that. You guys will not be left out. Not a chance, Grumblers. Talking about thing nobody talks about. Captain seats in the Denali. How do you give CPR when body not flat? How is 6'5" too long when his butt would hit the floor between the seats? Both great comments. My Grumble host. Hope this kicks off the Antarctic Relief Fund. Thinking we can pull in some whales by framing it as a resource development exploration. Say the word. We Grumblers can start the paperwork. Not only that, think of all the water. Let's just turn it into water. The whole Middle East needs water. Arizona needs water. California needs water. Let's get the tankers up there. Let's start pulling ice. Hebrews 12:1, therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked for us. Yes, we love our Grumblers. We love our Grumblers. Hit the Wickle Pickle button. In 590, RJ was on Candace Owen original flight list. Odd plane. Not moved since December, January, but today went to Colorado, Scottsdale, Tennessee. Checking. We are checking. That's a Formula One joke. In 590, Romeo, Juliet. Oh, I've actually clicked on that because it's purple. I've looked at this one. Let's see what we have here. Let's see what Mr. Barron sees. Yeah. Went to McGee Tyson. Interesting. Wonder what it's doing in Knox Vegas. And why were we looking at that plane anyway? Interesting. Thank you, Mary Kendrick. As a lawyer, what do you think about the party of neutrality, a political party or government branch that forfeits its rights to protect from corruption? That'll never work. That's the only reason people go to Washington is to be corrupt. My message got deleted by accident, but I said, Uncle Barron, I love the new intro. It didn't get deleted. I read it. But thank you, Brandy. Thank you. Check out Brandy if you've not. Is it true that Erica is Tyler's cousin via her half-sister? I don't believe so. I don't believe that's her half-sister, that Allie Farron. I don't believe that's her half-sister. Therefore, there's no Tyler half-cousin deal. I don't know where. I mean, I know where it came from. And I'm not saying Project Constitution tried to get that wrong, but I just disagree with that. I don't see it. The new intro is so fire. I love it. I love it as well. And I love each and every one of you. Thank you so much for joining me here for yet another show. Allegedly, I will be on the Zach Costello show tomorrow. I think at 1 o'clock, maybe 1:30. I think 1:30 actually, Central Time. But check that out. You'll see when he goes live tomorrow. If you want to catch it, I would be honored to have you watch along with his audience. We could bring some of our audience in there and crash his show and take over his chat. Actually, let's not do that. Let's be very polite and kind to his people. But it would be amazing. So that'll be 1:30 p.m. Central Time tomorrow. I will not be doing a show tomorrow night. I have baseball with the littlest Colemans, not the littlest, but some of the middle Colemans. So I will not be available tomorrow night, but I will be back Wednesday and Thursday. I will be doing shows in the evening, mostly the same normal time between 5 and 7, sometime kickoff. And I thank you for being here. I genuinely do. 101 shows down, many, many more to go. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for hitting the like button on your way out. Thank you for subscribing on your way out. Don't be one of those 25, 30% of the people who watch every show and don't subscribe. Be a subscriber. Be a liker. It's kind and it does help the channel quite a bit. Share with your friends and family. If you want some merch, realbaronpodcast@realbaronpodcast.com. realbaronpodcast.com. There it is right there on your screen for you. And as always, Jesus loves you. Thank you guys. Thank you for joining me. Thank you so much. And I will see you Wednesday night, unless you join me for Zach Costello mañana. See you then. Have a good evening.